for your money with every spring. Well, I don't think I understand why we're making such a fuss. And I don't think I understand what's come of all of us. And I don't think I understand why we take this world for granted. I just want to get right back to Guitar Players Planet. Take me. Guitar Players Planet. 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 Sunny skies, the smell of palm tree air. Looking back, I could never feel fair. The way that music has touched my soul, the way that the South holds its control. But I've got a new way to choose. I'm gonna start running back to the land of new. Oh, na 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 na. Seems to me that I have lost my old friend. Catch the sunset on the highway again. Then I get lost on a long summer day. I must go back before it's too late. If you're afraid, you're feeling alone, but time and space can never unfold. The holidays can ring in your fear. The ghost embrace can only mean tears. And I've got a new way to choose. I'm gonna start running back to land of new.
Hey, everybody.
Good evening out
Hey.
there. What's happening, guys?
Hey, everybody.
Welcome to AstroWorld again on the lovely Wednesday night live show that we do every Wednesday night, 9 p.m. Eastern. Thank you for the 4 of you that are watching. First of all, let me apologize to all the viewers out there because, I'm sorry, my speakers died, number one, so I got to wear that. And I got this bad haircut going, so I'm sorry to everybody, for all you hockey fans out there. Oh, yeah,
God.
well, there we go. Now we got the Rick and Morty up there. So I guess there's no Islander fans out there. So I'm wearing a hat tonight.
Can you do me a favor and actually bend the bell for the love of
It's-
Mike?
It's bent. We're not these people from Arkansas that wear like a little eyeball. This is the New York bend.
So you just literally bend it.
Did one of those. Good.
It's a V curve, not a U curve.
Exactly. Those you guys. So yeah. So we got a lot of stuff to talk about. On first off on the on the Telescope Live front. I know a lot of people have been getting anxious. I actually went onto the site and I made it's called a one-click observation on there for the Tarantula Nebula with the telescope that we were talking about last week. So I paid for the credits. The credits are paid for. Everything's good to go. And I go and schedule the observation. And for some reason, the telescope has been taken down. Not sure why. So I'm waiting on something from Marco and Alex over at Telescope Live to find out why I can't make an observation on the telescope that we chose. So it's all ready to go. It looks like, and if everything holds well, it will have our observation started in February the 19th and the 20th. So that looks like our time for the Tarantula Nebula for that telescope. So I just wanted to let everybody know. I did put on the AstroWorld website, I put a password protected only page on there. So if you donated, you will be getting an email very shortly with the access code for that site where you will be able to download all of the calibration frames and the light frames. So you'll be able to get all that done. What else? I updated some of the rules because the dates have changed. Obviously, we're not going to get the data when I wanted to, so I'm pushing it up another month and a half. So we're probably going to have until, depending on how many people donate for it and how much data we get, we're probably going to announce the winner in May. And for those of you that don't know and missed the show last week, the prizes now include 2 1-hour sessions with Astro.ca, Ron Breacher. He was gracious enough to donate 2 hours of his time, so 1 hour for different winners. And also $100 from Explorer Scientific and $100 from Camera Concepts. So if you look at the website, it'll give you the bundling of the prizes. I think we're going to do first, second, third prize. Be on the lookout for some changes as some prizes come in. And down there at the bottom, you'll see the website, www.astroworldweb.com. And you can reach us anytime at email at info@astroworldweb.com. So any questions you have, feel free. I am going to be doing the social media buzz post probably beginning of next week. So it's going to go viral, hopefully, and then we'll get some more data in. So right now we have enough for about 6 hours worth of data, from what I can tell, and we'll take it from there. So
Awesome.
Good deal.
So I just got to find out why the telescope we wanted was taken down.
Well, I'm sure it'll be fine because you were saying that we're not going to have our opportunity until close to mid-February, right?
Yeah. It's almost third week in February. Yeah. So I'm sure that it's they took down Chile 2 and 4, which are both the same telescope. So I'm wondering if they're just doing some maintenance on those two scopes and it's just down for a couple of days. So I'm waiting for an answer on it. That's probably what it is.
Yeah.
But
a cleaning collimation.
It might be a collimation. It is a Newtonian, so it's possible.
Yeah. So I wouldn't worry too much about it just yet. I mean, we've got plenty of time before it happens. So
yes. So it looks like the 19th and the 20th we should get. I actually was able to, because it's funny because the way they do it is if you have like a 6-hour observation, but there's only 3 hours at night because the rest of the night has been booked by someone else, it won't book you for the 3 hours. You got to kind of space your filters out. So one night I'm doing S2 because on the first night there was only like 2 hours there available, so I took those 2 hours. And then on another night, which had only 5 hours instead of 6 hours, so I couldn't do it all in one night.
Mm-hmm.
So I took the other 2 filters and did them on another night.
Okay.
So
I see what you did. Yeah. Okay.
yeah. So I mean, I could have done HA the first night or S2, but I figured that the next night had less moon, so we got a little discount for some moon, even though it's going to be further away.
Right.
But I think we should be good.
Okay. Yeah, I wouldn't worry too much about it, man.
No, I'm not worried. Yeah, I'll start worrying on the 17th when I haven't heard from him. you know. But it's been an interesting journey with these guys because they're all in a different. Alex is in Spain. The main place is in the UK. So Marco and his group, the way it's based, is in the UK. And all these other people are all over the world. So I never know who's going to answer me. Depending on what time zone I'm in, someone else answers me. So I'm still waiting on Alex and whatever. So it should be interesting. I'm hoping to get. I was trying to find. They have what's in there. They have what's called one-click observations. And if you're a silver member, you have access to it, which is $19 a month. And you could actually get data sets from them that you could download and process on your own. But I was looking for a data set that fit the telescope and the image that we're trying to get with the Tarantula Nebula, and they didn't have one up there. So they had Tarantula Nebula with other telescopes, but not with the one that we want. So
well, it'll all work out. So I'm not too worried.
Yeah,
no biggie. So what else has been going on, guys? What are you guys? We've had a lot of snow right now. We just got about 6-7 inches of snow here in northern Illinois and around the state line area. So I finally, now the night, everything cleared up for tonight. So I'm going to do some narrowband imaging with this refractor now that I've got the, I hope, it looks like right now the EAF is in the electronic focusing. Looks like it's, you guys can see that. It's looking fairly good now. So I got a good V curve, it looks like.
It's not like a solid line going across.
It's not like a solid line. It looks like I would expect it to look.
Yep, exactly.
So so far we're looking good, and I'm just waiting for it to finish focusing, and it just did. So now I will go ahead and kick things off and start my auto runs and try to sit back and chill out with you guys and answer some questions for folks and just have a good time. So but this whole EAF thing was kind of difficult, and I didn't really understand it as much as I thought I did. Dealing with backlash. Didn't know that, and I realized backlash has nothing to do with autofocus. A lot of people have told me that backlash is nothing like that. But just to get everything set and do the manual steps and the course and the fine and just understanding this, so now I'm good. I feel better about what I'm doing.
You were all over Facebook posting. I saw a couple of your posts on there, and I saw the pictures. I was like, oh man, I'm like. I said, Eric, I really wish I could help you, man, because I know nothing about the EAF. If it was a moonlight and just
figuring stuff out, and it seemed that the focuser itself, it probably wasn't seated properly, because if you take a look at if anyone has an EAF or you have the motors, at least with the EAF, it had, and Jason even called me about this, that it has this flat area on the gear on the dial. And sometimes you gotta make sure that one of the set screws is on that flat.
So the ZWO EAFs, most electric autofocusers actually have 2 set screws, and they're 90 degrees offset from each other. And the focuser shaft and the focusing on the EAF and most other add-on electric focusers have that keystone. So you have to make sure that one of the 2 set screws is actually biting that flat part, that flattened part of the shaft, or the key,
right,
as it's referred to.
Thank you. Yeah. So, got that straight. I leveled everything out, made sure everything was nice as far as because it looked like I was even a little off on the motor, was a little angled off. Okay. So I took everything apart and just put everything, reset everything. And right now it seems to be behaving itself. So
good.
And the nice thing with the ZWO EAF is the fact that they do give you a coupler that does allow for a little bit of flexure. You don't want it to, I forget who, I think it was Tyler sent me a photo of somebody that had one that was ridiculously way off. Like, if it should have been like this, it was like this. It was bad, and the guy had obviously made his own mount. It was not ideal.
Wow.
You can deal with about 2 to 3 degrees of flexure safely, but much more than that, you're going to start putting undue stress on the entire system, and it'll just cause issues. So I highly recommend trying to get it 90 degrees perpendicular.
Yeah.
Nice. So I actually, segueing in, we won't roll it right now necessarily, but
you can if you want.
Well, it's up to you guys, but I did make a video because a lot of people on all the forums, both with ZWO and some of the Explore Scientific Facebook groups and whatnot, have been constantly asking, how do we mount it on a stock Explore Scientific focuser? So I tore mine down, and came up with a solution that I can use the stock screw holes and a couple of washers on the EAF to be able to actually secure it without it doing any damage or any major retrofit to either the focuser or to the focusing assembly. So if you want, I can go ahead and roll that video.
Yeah, go for it, man. It was a good video.
Hello, Jason Janes here, the lazy astronomer and one of the hosts of AstroWorld TV. I'm very fortunate that I get to test different scopes throughout the year, and it puts me in a very unique predicament. And I'm starting to see a bunch of people, both on ZWO and Explore Scientific's users forum, that are talking about a way to try to get the ZWO EAF to mount to a stock Explore Scientific focuser. I found a great solution that doesn't require any physical modification of the brackets or the focuser assembly, so let's check out what I've come up with. I'm going to show you on the stock focuser off my 102 what I'm talking about. So there are 2 recessed bolts on the focuser. Those 2 recessed bolts are actually tapped and threaded, so we're going to use those 2 bolts to do our mounting. The other thing that people take and make a common mistake or question a lot on the forums is, which side do we mount it to? And I'm going to unequivocally answer this for you. It's always the coarse side, the one with the single wheel. The importance there is, using this side isn't going to benefit you and risk damaging the assembly as a whole. I have mounted my EAF bracket on top of the focuser assembly. Of course, I'm using the stock plate with no modifications. And in doing that, I added the 2 M4 .70 pitch, 25mm long hex bolts from the hardware store, and the provided coupler that was the appropriate size for this focus shaft and the EAF. But it left a little bit of a gap up here. So to overcome that, I'm using 2 washers per provided bolt, still leaving me enough threads to attach. By mounting things up this way with the included coupler, I'm able to keep everything square and tight with minimal amount of flexure and thus less stress in the overall system. I hope that this video was simple enough for you to understand a way that we can take and with $1 worth of hardware be able to implement a solution that didn't damage either the EAF or the focuser from the Explore Scientific scope. Thank you for watching this video, and if you have questions or comments, please leave it in the comments below, and we'll get to it as soon as we can. If you like this type of content, please subscribe to our channel so you can be notified when the content becomes available.
Keep imaging, keep educating in clear skies. We'll see you next time on AstroWorld TV.
So there you have it.
There you go.
Yeah, it looks like she's having a lot of fun with her dad doing that, man.
Lost your audio.
Every time I go
There you
downstairs to
Yeah.
set up the studio, she's always, "Daddy, are you doing another video? Can I do the closing line again?"
Oh man, she's awesome, man. She's gonna start doing her own videos.
Well, that's actually one of the things that, as she gets a little bit more time with me and can stay up past her normal bedtime hour and we get clear skies, she does go
Yeah.
outside and she watches me kick things off, but she can't hang all night, of course. But she'll come in and help me do the post work and things like that when I'm doing some of my post process, so it's fun.
You need to smile more.
I am smiling.
That's a smiling on the inside, man. He's a karate man.
I won
But,
awards in high school about being Mr. Too Intense, and I've just kind of hung with that my whole life.
It works. You're good.
Yeah.
It's just who I am.
There you go. So I got an email from Camera Concepts today.
Uh-oh.
Apparently, Winter Star Party is having, for those of you who don't know what Winter Star Party is, every February, usually, Winter Star Party is held in Florida, usually the Florida Keys. They did switch it last year because I think it was last year for the hurricane. But it looks like Winter Star Party is going to be doing a virtual star party. Details are yet to come. But if you're interested, and I think they're going to be doing some virtual stargazing, like a stargazing show. So you'll be able to log in, I guess, for a nominal price or whatever. I'm not really sure yet on it, but it's something to look out for. So what he called me for was, and for those of you that know me from last year's NEAF, I was all over the place with Camera Concept commercials, all over the place, and apparently. Winter Star Party wants us to do more of them, so I'll be all over the airwaves at Winter Star Party, hawking gear all over the place. So there'll be some prize, there'll be some there'll be a lot of sales, some Optilong sales, and a couple other ones. But take a look; it's going to be kind of like the virtual NEAF, if you remember that last year. So
yeah, I really want to get an opportunity once this whole pandemic thing
Disaster.
and everybody gets a double shot, so as soon as you get your opportunity to get that double shot and finally, and get out here, and I would really want to get up to New York State to have an opportunity to go to NEAF at least one time and, max out my credit card.
Oh yeah. And I probably shouldn't say this on TV, but in 2009, NEAF, it's 11 years ago. 2009, my father fell ill with lung cancer, and he was still around in April, and so April was NEAF and whatever. So I'm going there with my friend Ron, and we go there. And for whatever reason, I had my dad's credit cards in my back pocket. For whatever reason, I don't know why. They just happened to be in there because he couldn't hold them, so I held them.
This already doesn't sound good. This doesn't sound
good. So I'm looking for a Dob, something, something for not for imaging, for visual. And I'm looking for a Dob, and Orion just came out with their half truss XX12 line. They had the XX 10, 12, and 14, I think, at the time. So I'm looking at the 12. I'm looking at the 12, and I'm looking at the 12. And my friend Ron's like, "Come on, man, just do it. Just get it. You got his credit." He's egging me on. You got to do it. If he's watching, he's gonna remember it. Sometimes he watches. He's like, "You got to go get it. You got to go get it." So I said, "All right." So I finally got it. Boom! I put my dad's credit card on, and I was like, "How much for this one right here? It's a floor model, right? You give me $100 off of it. I'll take it. You want to take it back to Orion?" He's like, "All right." So I got it, $1,100. I got the scope. I take it. I put it in my car. The unfortunate thing is, 2 months later, my dad passes, and so do the credit cards. So I don't know who paid for it, but I did. So.
Oh man!
So I still got the scope upstairs. It's a nice 12-inch with telescope. And that's it.
Well,
that's my story.
Yeah, that's It's interesting.
Dad bought you a gift.
Sad a little bit, but interesting.
Well, I call it Dad's going away present. And you know what? No matter what I do, I'll never get rid of that scope.
Yep.
No
There you
matter
go.
what I do.
That's the perfect way to look at it, man.
Yep. So that's why I look at it, and I don't want to be morbid, but that's
Yeah.
what it turned out to be. so yeah.
All
The
right.
dogs
So
are barking.
finally, I think I've got everything focused on this thing. So now I'm hitting go.
Go auto run.
Auto run this thing. Yep. So it's already been autofocus. So I shut autofocus off. So because it's already done it. So now we can just kick in.
I would not shut autofocus off because through the night it will change.
Oh no! I just for the start of the auto run is what I mean.
Oh,
sorry, for the start of the auto run. So it'll so I've got it set to check every couple hours, to do autofocus every couple hours, and to do it after the meridian flip.
So now, do you do anything as far as temperature drops? Okay, I don't know. I know that it has a temperature sensor that you could hook up to the EAF.
There is a temperature sensor on there. Here, let me see if I got it here. Sorry, I'm looking at the wrong thing
No
here.
problem.
My autofocus. So no, okay. So it's not every hour. I have the temperature change. So right now I've got it set. If you guys can see this, I don't know if you guys can see that or not.
Yeah, 2 degrees.
Yeah, so 2 degrees every 2 degrees, and do it during the meridian flip.
What? Okay, yeah, I gotcha. There you go.
And do it when the flip is done. Since
Yeah,
I'm not changing,
you probably should have it. Sorry, go ahead.
No, so since I'm not changing filters tonight, it's because it's full moon out there pretty much. It's just going to do nothing but HA tonight. So
Yeah.
I was going to get my HA, and then I'm going to save this data. And I think I've mentioned to you guys, or I mentioned some other folks, one thing I would like to try to do is take this data with the 294 mono, and then when I have the opportunity, I want to also put, swap out cameras and put on the 294 color and do the same
color,
thing.
yeah.
And do my color and my HA, and can do somewhat of like a HA RGB just off of, using those two cameras. And it might save me some time too. That way I'm not having to worry about flipping through filters.
So
it's an absolute time saver. Absolutely.
Yeah.
The other thing that you want to do before you stop your imaging night, go into preview, and you can save a favorite for your exact position.
I did. I went in there and I did that. So before I picked this off, I did that.
It's not just plate solving. What it does is it actually saves the coordinate, and you can put a custom name to it, and then you can recall that the same as any other database image or star or object. Nice. So you can create your own. So like with my 2600 and the FRA, I wanted the heart and soul. And I got them positioned. I got, I can't rotate to get there, but I can get back to the exact same spacing, and then I manually rotate to get them to where I want them in frame, and then I start imaging. But it brings me back to the exact same coordinate, so I don't have to pick a star to get there. I can manually just pick a spot, tell it go here, it'll recenter to it, tell me it plate solves by the surrounding stars, and then it'll allow me to save that so I can recall that. And as long as you don't format your card or replace the card, then that data is on the actual card itself.
Yeah, so I guess that's their answer to kind of like the framing and mosaic wizard in Sequence Generator Pro without the rotation.
Yep.
But I mean that's a good answer for now. I mean, if you could manually rotate it, I know Eric manually rotates his.
Yeah, I do.
Frame. Yeah, so I mean, and I bought that manual rotator at your because you use it well and it works good, and it also took about 1.5 pounds off my telescope by removing the moonlight rotator. I mean, I'm still waiting on precise parts.
I finally got my precise part yesterday.
Okay.
So
they said February 4th it would ship. So at that point, I will take off the moonlight focuser and put the Prima Luce on the 80 until the 120, if it ever comes. Jerk. He's laughing.
So Tyler, you want to tell him about your next order?
I already know it.
Which ones? I ordered 2 things. Actually,
Not which one. Which one?
4.
It's plural.
4.
The fact that you're the fact that you're already bored with the fact that you're already bored with the 120 and you ordered the 150.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that one. No, I'm just kidding. No, I did not. No.
Dan's head was about ready to explode.
What? No.
Hey Dan, I know where you can get a 120. It'll be quick and you'll get it fast.
What? Will you give it to me? Will you give it to me for the? Hey, I'll buy it if you give it to me for the price I'm getting it for.
I will 2-day ship it, so it'll get there quick.
At the price I'm getting it for?
Plus another $1,000.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, forget it. Shipping is not $1,000. Sorry.
It's
Just saying.
my time and effort. It's what it's worth.
So you got the 150. You got the 120.
I told you I have the 150.
He's just messing with you. He didn't order.
Oh,
it.
okay.
Just messing with you, bud.
So the
good
120.
God, man. If he did, man, I'd be like, good Lord.
Dude, he hasn't even
Like,
taken a picture yet. He's got all these telescopes. It's like the baseball player that's got all these nice baseball mitts and bats lined up across his. I never swung it.
Let's see. So I got the Nightcrawler ordered. That'll be in 4 weeks.
Right. I know that.
Eagle 4S.
I know that.
I'll get I'll get this week, along with the 3 nanometer 03, 3 nanometer S2, and Antilla.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Are you getting Antilla Pros?
Oh.
Yeah, the 3 nanometers are the pros.
Yeah.
And also the 2600 mono.
So that's okay. So you got the narrowband sector, but he's got all that, but he doesn't have a filter wheel.
He doesn't need a filter wheel. He's got a slider.
Yeah.
I got a slider droid. I don't need a filter wheel.
Oh, F that. That's too much. I can't. I'm too lazy.
It's not hard.
Oh,
if
it's not hard. It's just
clear nights.
you
You're just
know
lazy.
what. But to me, and this is just me being a little crazy. Every time I open up that filter drawer, I'm thinking some dust or something is getting in there, and I'm gonna have to take new flats. I just can't. I don't want to have to take new flats every time I do.
We take our scope in and out all the time, anyways. We got to take new flats every time we do the image.
No, I don't take apart my image train for nothing.
I don't have that luxury. I'm doing too much testing.
I got Mark Ellis let me borrow his 6200, which I got to test because I finally got my adapter in, so I can use that. That's about it.
Aren't you concerned about vignetting? Because isn't that a full frame?
Oh yeah, I'll get vignetting, 100%, just because of that adapter alone.
Yeah,
because it's stepping down from a 54 to a 48. I'm gonna get it.
Yep.
Because of the slider drawer that I'm using, it's M48, and there's no workaround. There's nothing I can do. Even if I didn't, and I had M54 adapters, even the 2-inch slider or just the 2-inch filter, I'll still get vignetting.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So yeah, since you're using that because you're not using 50, because I think if you were using a full frame, what's the ideal size? Is it's like
51.
51.
Yeah, 51 or 52.
Yeah, like millimeter.
But
like,
again, me being a refractor guy and not a RASA guy that has to deal with all the quickness of anything, I'm going to crop in anything.
Right.
I'm going to crop in.
Well,
So,
right now
I mean, as
I'm
long
not
as
using
my-
my RASA. Yeah, right now I'm not using my RASA. I'm using my 126 refractor.
And what does your field of view look like right now?
You want to see it?
Yeah.
Show it, man. Show it.
Do it. But yeah, that's what I'm
Do it,
waiting.
man. Do it.
So I'm not going to have clear skies for months.
Yeah, well, me neither.
There it is right now. If you guys can see that.
See, that's to me that.
There's the cone right there.
Yep, I can see it.
That looks good.
So basically, you've got the whole Christmas tree cluster right here, and then you got the fox fir.
Yep.
Over here. So there's
What was the exposure set? What was the exposure set?
Right now, nuts! I screwed up. Let me pause this thing. Hey, I'm glad I've only got started now because it's at 300. Is at 300 seconds, but I forgot. I was doing some testing and I forgot to redo my game. So, no biggie.
Yeah, just take new
No.
files. It'll be fine.
So after the conversation that I guess Tyler and me and Simon were having on Facebook
It's your
regarding
fault.
regarding the pros and how big of a difference the 3.5 to the 3 is.
It's a big difference.
He brought up didn't Simon break up that graph?
Yeah.
Yeah, he showed the graph with the data, and then I shared the picture that I saw online.
Yeah, Dan
And
shared the picture of Antonac.
Altenac. Yeah, so
Altenac.
so the whole thing is that we were talking, me and Tyler, they're like, man, that's no big deal. It's only half an nanometer. Look at the graph. The graph isn't that, but it's not about the graph of the saturation. It's not about that.
Mm-hmm.
It's about the coatings of the filter that keeps all your star halos in line. So when I saw that, when I saw that picture, I called up OPT.
Crazy.
I called up OPT. I was like, cancel my effing order. I said, give me the other ones. So I got the pros coming too.
I mean, it's only $100 set or $100 more, wasn't it? For the complete set?
It's about $70 per filter more.
Yeah.
Oh, it's not. If you're already going to spend that much.
Yeah, that's why I said, there it is. That's the picture.
There. That's a big difference.
It wasn't alternate, but look at that.
Hold on.
It's
Let
a
me
big
understand.
difference.
And that doesn't even show the whole thing.
So Eric, the top portion, the blue, is the 3.5. And that's
right.
See the halos.
The bottom is the 3.0.
Oh my god! Bottom is the 3.0. It's like night and day.
So the bottoms are the pros. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. It's like.
Yeah.
So when I saw that, I was like, oh my god! I said, forget it. I said, I just said,
but
for an extra
again,
one.
I've $180, $190.
Yeah.
Give or take. I think.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's
not a no-brainer.
Yeah, exactly. So I did the same thing you did. I was like, once I saw the graph and the picture, I was like, no, you know what? If that's gonna, and you know what? I love bread. By the way, bread's like the best thing because I'm gonna be paying $34 a month for the next 10 years. Yeah. So hey, listen.
But speaking of that, looking at that and looking at the star halos and the reduction of the halo reminds me of to my Rasa guys, to my guys who have fast systems and everything like that. I saw the what is it? The IDAS NBZ.
IDAS, yep. Oh,
IDAS NBZ, which is their newest. It's I think it's starting to come out. It's starting to hit the market right now. Their dual band, one shot color filter, and I have because it's basically the replacement of the NBX. And now I don't have any. I don't have these. I usually I have Optilongs, but from what I'm seeing is that these are supposed to address a lot of the halo issues that the NBX had and a lot of other filters are having, especially when it comes to the Rasa and these fast systems. And it's supposed to work with F2 systems. So nice. I'm thinking about it. I've got enough freaking filters right now, but what's one more?
Well,
so I'm just curious. I'm just curious to see because I've been doing some horsehead, like we were talking about with Altenac, and I'm hoping that these filters come very soon because I believe they shipped already, but I want to get some HA only of the horsehead.
Yeah,
and I want to because Altenac is on mine on the 7 nanometer ones that I have. it's flaring. I mean, there's a hell of a halo on there. Yeah. And if you know, unfortunately, I'm gonna have like double or triple my exposure time because it's gonna be so, you know, it's gonna be so restrictive on the band pass. Right. But you know what? If I could do, you know, 15-minute, 20-minute exposures.
Mm-hmm. Well, and then, if you guys want, I'll show the graph that we were referring to.
Sure. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
So you can see at the bottom of the curve is my 7 nanometer right there. Okay, so now we're bouncing all the way up to the contrast factor of like about 110 with the 3 nanometer.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really restrictive as far as what lights come in. So it's gonna make a huge impact on your exposure time. But if it does what it says it's gonna do and it takes care of the halos, I'm okay with that.
Yeah, it's amazing seeing the difference when you actually sit and break all that down.
Yeah. I'm just hoping that maybe by either next week or the week after, I'll be able to post the difference between. I know it's not comparing apples to apples, but the Optolong 7 nanometer with the Antilla 3 nanometer Pro, and put them together and just look at it. Same exposure time. I'll just do same exposure time just to see what it looks like.
I think you'll see. You know what? I wouldn't be surprised if you see a pretty nice difference, even though.
I should.
You should see a really good difference between the two. I'm thinking.
I'm expecting to see a huge difference, but you know, I mean, you won't see as much detail in the horse head and the flame because the restrictive bandpass that you have at 3 nanometers. Right. But I'm looking at star halos and how it reacts to each one, and I think, you know, I have a bunch of 5 and 10 minute shots with the 7 nanometer right now.
Mm-hmm.
Grab a couple of 10-minute shots with that. Even if I had to take 4 and 4 and put them together and compare it that way, apples to apples, so we can see the difference. Yeah. That way, as long as it's the same total exposure time, I think we could kind of do some comparison.
So, you guys just saw my test, my first exposure. Now that was at 300 seconds, so 5 minutes.
Right.
One of the things that I always still struggle with, and even though I've used SharpCap, Smart Histogram, I haven't done it on the 294mm, but I'm trying to figure out how do you guys usually determine what is the best exposure time? Is it something you guys look at, maybe your histogram, and you look at your ADU as far as, you know, your exposures that you're getting, and you say, okay, it's gotten so far, like it's moved your thousand so far to the right. What do you guys usually do when it comes to figuring out, all right, yeah, this is probably a good exposure time for me, and then you can just start shooting off, you know, 50 to 100 of them, or whatever, how many you guys want to do. So what do you guys usually do to determine that?
I'm sorry, I lost the question. I didn't really hear.
Yeah, I was just basically saying, what do you guys normally do to determine the exposure times that you guys say, okay, this is pretty good for my, you know, right now I'm using a pretty slow telescope. It's a slow telescope. It's f7, you know, but what do you guys usually do to help determine, you know, and people, if they're curious, to determine what the exposure time is that you want to put towards each frame?
Okay. There's no way saying anything.
Did you hear me? What do you guys do?
No. I think we all heard you. I think we all heard you. Okay. I think we're wondering who's going to talk first.
So, you're the only mono guy here.
Oh, okay. Fair enough. Well, I have two things that I kind of do. Okay. I actually have a spreadsheet that a friend of mine made up who has disappeared recently. Don't know where he is or where he's gone to. But he actually made me, based on my read noise, believe it or not, CCD does have a gain. We just can't change it. We can't touch the gain. But it does have something called gain. And he actually, I don't know the math behind it. If anybody wants to see this spreadsheet, I'm more than happy to send it out. But basically what he talks a lot about is swamping the noise, kind of. So making sure your signal to noise ratio is higher than your noise level. Okay.
Right.
So what he suggested was 10 times your noise level of gain. So basically there's a sheet there and it says, okay, you put in your ADUs in there and it figures out for you what the good exposure time is. Okay. That's one way that I do it a little. Yeah. The guy's brilliant. The guy's super smart. And I asked him to make a spreadsheet for me because he did use it for him. And I use that. So it has different for every filter that I have. I'll have to change it because I know to change the Excel spreadsheet for nanometers of the filter and stuff like that. You got to put different specifications in there so it could do the right calculation. But the easier way to do it, and this is the lazy way for me, is that I actually bring one of my pictures in to PixInsight. I have it on my Eagle, and I bring one of them in PixInsight, and I take a look at the brightest star or object, whatever I look like visually is the brightest star, and I roll over it, and I look, and I make a little square on it, and I run what's called statistics on it, and I find out what the saturation of that star is. If the saturation's over like 60 or 70%, I back off a little bit.
Okay.
If it's anywhere between 30, 40, 50%, I leave it alone. And that's what I do. So if that's 5 minutes, if that's 10 minutes, if I'm over 99% saturated, you got to get kicked back because all of a sudden, even though that my camera has anti-blooming, which is something that CMOS cameras don't really have to worry about because their well depth goes down to the center of the earth. But CCD users have issues. My full well depth is only 25.5. Okay. So even though that I got anti-blooming technology in the camera, there's still a risk when you supersaturate the stars.
Right. Okay.
So I find the saturation of the. Go ahead.
No, sorry. You keep talking. I'm actually going to save one of my images so I can download it and bring it into PixInsight.
Sure.
So
yeah, you could run the statistics, and you could actually take when you go into PixInsight and you the information icon one, where you kind of roll over. It's like a square with crosshairs in it. You roll over it. You roll that over the star and see what your K value is. I think we spoke about this once before.
I think we spoke about this before. Yeah, we did.
So if you go to the K value, it'll give you a percentage of 1. So 1 is being total white, and anything less than that is shades of gray. Okay, so you sit there and you roll over it, and what's the brightest? If I'm at 70% at 5 minutes, I leave it alone. I don't go any higher. Now you're going to take a lot longer to get to 70% because your full well depth is a lot deeper than mine.
Right.
So you may be able to take 20-minute exposure times and still only be at 50% well depth, because you got triple the electrons able.
Yep.
Does that make sense?
So,
am I getting too technical? I don't know.
No, I follow you.
No, not you. I mean for everybody. I know you get it.
They were like, eh?
Yeah. So hold on. Let's see. 2-inch mounted.
Yeah, until it does not make pro versions for.
Well, I got a 4/3, so that's why I got it. So.
Well, I mean, what I'm saying is they don't make pro versions.
The full frame yet. Yeah.
Only 3.5s. Because Mark was complaining. Of course.
Yeah, I see Mark.
He's pitching.
Sorry, Diana. Diana was getting lost. I apologize, Diana. So basically, I'll try and say it a little differently. So when PixInsight looks at colors, or when you're doing mono, white and black, white is, let's say, 1 and black is 0. So anything in between those numbers are shades of gray. So 50% would be 50% gray, almost half the weight of white. 75% would be a little bit whiter, gray, and 80% would be more white, and then 100% would be totally white. So when you roll over a star in PixInsight, it'll tell you what percentage of white you are. So that being said, you can find out if you're saturating your pixels to the point of overexposing, which would mean that your gain or exposure time is too high. Did that explain it a little better?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes? Okay. So Scott also said, just like the histogram, yes, you can use the peak of the histogram. Absolutely.
Yep.
You can do that as well. You want that histogram. If you're looking at a histogram, you want a nice little space off that left wall, pushed over a little bit.
Yep.
Yeah, you don't want it. You want it kind of.
Just in
you don't
the
want it
inside
too white. You don't want it too black. Yeah.
Yep.
So just a little bit, just enough, just a little bit. So you want it off that wall. Hopefully, a lot of histograms that I see kind of go down at the end on the right. But you don't want that touching that wall all the way over either, because then you're oversaturating as well. So,
okay.
Scott
Basically, as well. If I could, let me see here, if I could show this. So here's a histogram. So, and you can tell.
Yes, that looks good. That looks good.
Well, that's doing an auto stretch, so it's a slight cheat.
Yeah. It is?
If you unstretch it.
Unstretch it and see, yeah.
Let me unstretch it.
Hit reset, yeah. And you'll still see that the data's good.
Yeah, it still looks good.
But you're going to see that it doesn't slam the walls.
Right.
Left and right is what we're referring to there.
Right.
Yeah, clipping your image, as Scott said.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so for example, if I share my screen here just for a second and bring up PixInsight, this is one of the exposures I just got.
Okay, make sure it's unstretched.
Yep, so let me unstretch it. Let me reset.
Let me move my picture, because for some reason, can I get rid of this? How do I get rid of that?
Yep. So let me reset it.
Okay, now go over the, don't even worry about the statistics yet. Go roll over the brightest, zoom in and roll over the brightest star right there and click.
Yep. I'm at 99%.
So you're at 99%.
I'm at 0.9998.
Yeah, so you're now go over another. Go to that other star at like 7 o'clock, or that one's fine. Go ahead.
That's 0.97. If I'm going slightly this way, that one's 0.44.
Okay, so I would probably. Yeah, so I would probably leave it there. I wouldn't go any further. I might even kick it back a couple.
Yep.
How many? What do you? Is this? This is 5 minutes, right?
Yeah, this is 5 minutes. Yep, 300 seconds.
And which star is that? Nice bright one. What star is that?
That is Montecero Sierra.
Oh, Montecero. Okay.
That's S Montecero.
All right. Well, you may have to do some deconvolution to get rid of the bloat on that one, maybe a little bit.
Yep.
But I mean, if all the rest of them are in that area of except for the super bright ones. If you got 5 or 6 bright ones, I'm not worried about that. I'm worried about the average of them all.
Yep.
So if you go to some of the dimmer ones and take a look, and you're at 40 and 50,
yep,
that's where you should. That should be fine.
One. So let me go to this one here. Let me just zoom into this guy.
Yep.
That's that's point. It says here 0.78.
0.78. Okay, so that's not bad.
Yeah.
That's fine. I would leave it. I would actually leave it there, because you could get rid of the brighter stars. You can take care of in post processing.
So Mark was asking, where are you seeing this? And in the bottom of the screen,
at the bottom,
it's
right
the
down
K
here.
value.
Look down here.
Yep.
Yep. So
if you want to.
So
there's
right down here. So take a look.
The K value is the amount of saturation that you're getting.
That's like 0.91 right now on that one.
Yeah, but actually that's a dim one. That's 0.90.
Yeah, 0.90.
That's one of the dim ones. 0.9. So, because that's this little guy here. Let me zooming out.
Yeah, it must be super bright then.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
point
using
nine.
that,
Yeah,
using that
but
metric,
look at the average as you go around. I mean, it's not fully bright there because I see it going to 0.81. I saw 0.7 somewhere in there.
yeah, yeah.
I would still probably back it down to 3 to 5 minutes or 3 to 4
Yeah,
minutes,
yeah,
because you
Yeah.
are hitting full well
Yep.
on those stars. Which, I mean, it's not oversaturating and not overfilling because the well depth is, but you're at 95 or better percent, so you are getting a
Yeah.
fair amount of saturation.
Yeah. So what I'll probably do is, this is just getting started. So what I'll probably do is just pause this, reset it, and then
knock it
I'll
to
back.
240 or something.
Say
Knock
again.
it to 4 minutes. Knock it to 4 minutes and see what you get.
Yeah.
You know.
See what you get. Yep. So we'll keep piddling around with it.
But,
So
but one thing I would also check is I would also go one for 6 minutes too and see if the saturation on those stars actually change.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
They won't change drastically because you'll never hit 100% with the way that
Right.
is.
No, you won't.
But he's already hitting 99% at the heaviest bright spot on a big star. So 6 minutes is only going to show you in the lighter stars, where you're at 60, 70%. You will see an appreciable gain in those medium to lighter stars. So you will get more stars in your field, but you are going to lose your absolute brightest stars in the process. You'll get some flare.
And remember, in this is what I'm taking here, guys. This is narrowband. So usually in narrowband, you have to expose. You're going to have to do longer exposures.
Yeah.
So in my case, and this is an f7 refractor, so it's kind of slow, you know. So usually with an f7 refractor, it's slower, so you're taking longer exposures, just off of doing that, as well as I'm using hydrogen alpha, so narrowband. Usually that takes into account. So I'm kind of surprised that I'm getting this much saturation just off of 5 minutes.
Yeah,
I'm kind of surprised
weird.
To be honest with you.
That's kind of weird to me, to be honest with you. What's your gain at?
It's at Unity. It's at 120.
Well, I don't know much about gain. That's you guys.
Yeah, it's just it's right dead in the middle.
Yeah, it's dead in the middle.
I get that, but I'm just saying that with my CCD, let's say, I could take what how many nanometers you running on the H alpha?
This is actually 12.
Yeah,
it's a 12. So I could run my 7 on a CCD for 10 minutes and not be close to saturated with Altanac. So
wow.
So there's something to be said for maybe you need to lower your gain a little bit.
Yeah.
Well, because what gain are you shooting at right now with the 294 mono?
You just have 120, right?
120. Okay.
Yep.
And that's one of the weird things about the way ZWO does it. So they have a really easy to read graph, and it is a very distinguishable line where the sweet spot is. Like with the 2600, you basically gain 100 or gain 0. The only two choices you get. You really can't go above it. You can't really go below it. It's very hard cut. If you hit low, it takes you to 0. You hit medium or high, it's 100.
And what camera is this?
The 2600.
Okay.
They're supposedly going to open that up that you can make some variant in that gain and be able to actually adjust the slider. But as Simon and I have figured out, as a bunch of other users have figured out as well, really for the 2600, gain 100 is the absolute best setting so far. In what we've been able to experiment with. Normally you'd want to be at gain 0 because then you get the full dynamic range. But you get the dynamic range with a bunch of noise for some reason. And we're trying to figure that out with ZWO. Because you'd think it'd be the other way around. Gain 0 would be much less noisy. But we're getting a lot of sensor noise. A lot of red sensor noise, especially, at gain 0. That we don't get when we're at gain 100. So most everything that I'm shooting with my 2600, I'm at gain 100.
Okay.
But it's for those same types of reasons. I'm trying to find that sweet spot for each camera, which is typically the Unity level for each camera, to make those adjustments. So Tyler wanted to say goodbye, but he had to go put kids to bed, so he's going to bow out for the
Yeah.
night.
Okay.
He's got two littles, and they need Dad's attention. So
I hear you. That's fine.
Yep. Totally get
Let's
that.
see. All right. So Eric, after your idea of the because you were quick to mention that I on my last video I didn't mention acros or apos on my refractor video. I did do one. I finished it. It's done. If you want to spin it up, since we got some time, may as well watch it for 5 or 6 minutes, whatever it is, and tell me what you guys think. What I did was I did a video on the differences between the achromat and the apochromat. There's also something out there called the semi-apochromat that uses ED glass. A little history in there. Eric, oh good, you blinked. I thought I lost you for a minute.
No, I'm here.
But yeah, so I did it. It's about 6 minutes, 7 minutes long. Why don't you guys take a look? Hello, everyone. What is an achromat? What is an apochromat? Let's find out together. My name is Dan Higgins, and welcome to AstroWorld. First of all, thank you everybody for tuning in, and if you're happy with what you see, please subscribe and hit the bell to get all the notifications when AstroWorld posts new data. And don't forget to visit astroworldweb.com to check out the players at AstroWorld and see what we're up to. The refracting telescope can have a couple of designs, but there are some that come to mind. There's an achromat, an apochromat, and there's even a semi-apochromat. So let's go over a small history of the development of the achromat and the apochromat. The history of the achromat and the apochromat is actually quite scandalous. The invention of the first achromat was credited to Chester Moore Hall in around 1733. However, he wished to keep his invention a secret, so he contracted the manufacture of the crown and flint lenses which are necessary to make the achromat to two separate lens makers by the name of Edward Scarlett and James Mann. I couldn't find out who made what, but one made the crown glass and the other made the flint glass, so they wouldn't put them together in order to figure out the design of the achromat. However, and this is the funny part, Mann and Scarlett in turn subcontracted their individual projects to the same person, and that man's name was George Bass. Bass was the one that actually realized that the two elements were for the same client and fitted the crown and flint together and noticed the achromatic properties. For whatever reason, George Bass decided to keep that a secret as well. He delivers the flint and crown glass to the specific subcontractors. Hall gets them and puts the elements together and makes the first achromat in approximately 1733. Let's fast forward many years to the late 1750s. Bass actually remembers the invention of the flint and crown glass replication, and he mentions Hall's lenses to his friend named John Dolland. He actually recognized the benefits of the design and was able to replicate the achromat, and was therefore granted a patent for the achromat design in 1758. You could imagine that this was disputed by several opticians over the years. Finally, Dolland's son Peter in 1763, through the invention of the achromat, was then able to make an improvement on the achromat and actually invented the apochromat. Now that's some history. Let's see some of the differences. Before we get into the achromat telescope, if you're interested to see more of what a refractor actually does, feel free to go to my other video titled What is a Refractor, and I'll put a link right up here. The achromat is generally a more inexpensive telescope than an apochromat. And just for easier talking, I'll refer to the achromat as an acro and the apochromat as an apo. When light goes through the lens of any telescope, the light waves are bent in such a way so they come to focus at the focus point. Each wavelength is bent a different amount because in order to get all the light focused at the same point, they need to be bent a different way due to their wavelength. Red, green, and blue light do not focus at the same position, and acro is correct for the blue and the red, where the green just falls a little short of the focus. This creates something called chromatic aberration. For example, this is what you might see around the moon, and this is called violet fringing, and this is a direct result of chromatic aberration. This is why when you're doing astrophotography, many people tend to go with true apos instead of the doublet acro. Before we get into true apos, I'd like to call your attention to something called semi-apos. These are not true apochromats. They use something called ED glass, which stands for extra low dispersion. The ED glass uses better than a normal acro because the elements are treated in a way that lowers the chromatic aberration very well. Some ED glass may even contain fluorite, which would lower the chromatic aberration even more. But these are not true apos. However, I've seen some retailers out there that may label their ED telescopes as apochromats. So do some research and just be knowledgeable about what you are buying. The apochromat, or apo, adds a third element of glass bent so you can get all the light focused at the same point, and that takes care of the chromatic aberration. This makes the apo more efficient for astrophotography because the colors are more accurate. However, they are much more expensive. And here's what a picture would look like with an apochromatic telescope. There are other types of refractors out there, such as quadruplets and quintuplets, but we'll go through that in another video. So there is the difference between the two types of refractors. If you're getting into astrophotography, I would steer everybody to a triplet, apochromat, or better. I'm not trying to say that you can't get great pics out of a doublet. Take a look at this pic taken with a Zenith Star 73, which is a doublet. The color is outstanding, and it is a quality picture. Here's a pic that I took of the North American Nebula, and even though it's a narrowband, this is also taken with the triplet APO, my Skywatcher Esprit 80. So you can get good results with both, and it really depends on the budget. I really hope this helped everybody in some way, so if this did help you at all, or it was too basic, please let us know in the comments below. And as always, keep imaging, keep educating, and keep having fun. Clear skies. Thank you for watching.
Nice job, man.
Hey, thanks, man. Appreciate it.
Yeah, that's
I
was like, hey, that's one of my pictures.
Yeah, I accidentally misnumbered your telescope, so I apologize about that. But yeah, I needed some pictures for doublets and triplets. So I mean, I thought that would be a good way to do it. And I actually had to give somebody credit from Cloudy Nights for the picture with the violet fringing. But yeah, so I mean, I always find it interesting to do the little history segment too. I've been doing that for the last couple of videos. It's interesting to have, even if it doesn't have to be a 85-minute dissertation on who John Dolland was. You don't need to do that, but it's good to kind of know where things come from. You gotta know where you gotta know where you've been in order to know where you're going. So
Exactly.
So that's why I like to do that a little bit. I'm probably gonna do that a little bit more. Maybe cut it down a little bit to 1 or 2 minutes as far as the history lesson is concerned. But
yeah,
I thought it was fun learning about the how it came about, because I just thought it was funny that this guy comes along with the idea of the doublet, doesn't want it to be known. He gives one piece to this guy, one piece to this guy, and these guys give them to another guy to do. And it turns out this guy doesn't say nothing, and he tells it to another guy who replicates it, and then his son ends up building the Apo. So I just thought it was funny. So, but yeah, so that's a little bit about the difference between apos and acros, and I think my next one will probably be the quins and quints, I think, if I say it right. So Audio.
Now,
Quads
your
and
audio's
quints.
out again.
Quads and quints. Yeah, isn't that what I said?
You said quints and quints, or quids and quints.
Now,
Quids.
the red cat, that's a
It's
Petzl,
a
Which is
Petzl.
4.
Yeah. It's 4.
4 element.
which is 4. So
Yep.
so it's basically the same thing as a quad.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So
Yeah.
what's Petzl? Is that like German or something for 4? I don't know.
Russian.
Russian.
Yeah.
Russian.
So interesting.
It's not Russian before.
Well, and that's the thing. So I had the Space Cat, and I actually sold my Space Cat this week, thanks to some help with from Tyler. But I switched over to using the ASCAR because they're quints, quad, or sorry, quint 5 element piece. Yes, 5 element.
Yeah, 5.
And
$5 football.
Mark actually just bought the new ASCAR 600, which is the step up from my
I saw
400.
it. Yep.
I know Simon's been doing some testing with his.
Yep.
Mark just literally received his a couple of days ago, so he hasn't put first lights on it yet either because we've been clouded out here.
Right.
But I'm looking forward to seeing what they both get. I've seen a couple of HA only from Simon, so.
Yeah, that's with the 2600, I think.
It was with the 2600 mono on the ASCAR 600. Yep.
That looked so smooth. I didn't see, even on a JPEG, I didn't see any noise. I saw nothing.
No,
I saw nothing.
Those ASCARs are amazing for their price point. It's like $2,600 plus the flattener and stuff like that. You're in about $3,200 all in. But for what you get for those scopes, they're insanely capable. And I thought my Space Cat was amazing. And the only reason I got rid of it is I bought the FRA 400, and with the reducer, I'm at 280 instead of 250. I didn't need a quad when I have a quint.
Yep.
So I decided
basically
to
at
stay.
the same focal length. So, yeah.
But the quint gave me a benefit because if I pull the reducer out, I'm now at 400 millimeters, so I still have a very wide field, but I'm getting a little bit narrower slice of that field.
Yep.
Or with that flattener, I get a faster, very wide field, and can get a lot of light very quickly because it goes from a 5.6 down to a 3.4 or 3.8, something like that.
Okay. That's fast.
It's very fast.
So we actually have a question on YouTube from Christopher T, who's having an issue collimating his 8-inch Schmidt. He has Bob's knobs, but I'm still having problems. I defocus and get the star donuts centered, but it still appears out of focus. Do we have any suggestions? You want to go first, or since you're the Schmidt guy, I know I have some ideas, but
yeah.
I'll default to you guys because I don't play with those.
Now, one thing I would recommend is if you have an opportunity to purchase it or download it, grab SharpCap. They have a collimation aid. Yep. It's in beta, but it still works very well. You can use that and target a somewhat decent bright star to help take a look at that. Now, I have Bob's knobs myself on my 8-inch, and let me just, I'm looking at your question here again. And if you get everything into if you've got your donut already in, it's airy disc, but it's the donut, it's the airy disc. If you've got that pretty well centered, I would think you would be okay. And have you tried also double checking with your Batinoff mask to make sure that you are in focus and everything like that when you're tightening in? But Dan, what do you think?
Yeah, so I'm going to hit Scott up right now for a statement that he made just after Chris, and he's exactly right. Collimation isn't about focus. It's not. It's basically making sure that your primary and secondary are in sync with each other in order for you to get focus. Okay, right. So a couple of things. If you're doing a star test, and I've done this for many, many years with star tests before software. So the first thing I would ask you is, what power eyepiece are you using, number one? That'd be the first thing. Number two is the star always in the center of your image? That'd be the second thing. Because if it's off to the side and you're in collimation, it's all the way on the left, it's not going to be collimated when it goes back to the middle. Okay? It doesn't work like that. It's got to be in the center. And what I would do is I would use like a low power eyepiece first, like a 30 millimeter or something like that. Get it in there, get a nice bright star. Go down to a 15 using a camera. So you're using a camera. Okay, so then that gets the eyepiece.
Yeah. So that's why I was suggesting. I was thinking you were using a camera, so that's why I was thinking sharp cap.
Yeah, I was thinking eyepiece. Sorry. So
yeah. So if you're using a camera, then yeah, grab sharp cap.
Yep.
And use the beta, the collimation aid that's in beta. Make sure that that star, the star that you're targeting, make sure you're tracking and it stays in the center.
Correct.
Of your screen. So because you don't want it to Dan's point swaying, left or right. But I would try that. I know Dylan O'Donnell. He has done.
Scott actually just put that up there. Yeah.
Yeah, he did a video.
He did a really good video
which is really good, on using Sharp Cap's collimation aid for this specific thing, because Dylan is a Schmidt guy. I mean, he has Rosses and stuff like that. Yep. So he's the man when it comes to Schmidts. So take a look at that video, and that can help you as well. That can be a good aid and have you take a look at a couple of things that maybe you haven't thought about.
Yeah, and he also shows a lot of tips and tricks on, especially which screw to turn. So take a look at it. I have a reducer in the optical train when doing this. Is that okay? I would do it without the reducer first.
I would do it without I would take the reducer out now.
Yep.
Because that's another piece of glass that's another piece of glass that's in the way. So take all of that out and and you don't have to worry about back focus with a Schmidt like that, because you're doing it just like planetary, and you don't really have to worry about back focus or anything like that. So you should be able to push, get that right in the prime focus, and you go. So So if you've already got Sharp Cap, you're already, in the game right now to get things set. So yeah, just go that route. And I think you'll be surprised on, it will take you no time. So you'll be set.
If you go on there and you just literally use Sharp Cap, it's the easiest way to do it. It's really, really the easiest way to do it. That beta that came out with, it works perfectly. So
because that reducer. Yeah, that reducer, you're fighting with that reducer. So you don't want to put anything in the middle of this.
Yeah, so basically with anything, whether it's computers or telescopes or anything else, if you're having an issue, you want to go down to the bare basic of what you got. Unplug everything, take everything out of the way, and then get everything right with just the basics. And that's like same thing with telescopes. Can't get in focus, can't get in collimation, take everything out. Just do the camera and the telescope, get it in collimation, and then start adding stuff to it. Because you never know. You may have an issue with your reducer. Who knows? You could,
and that is not uncommon to have an issue with, especially with those. I'm not sure what kind of what 8-inch Schmidt you have, but I had when I ordered when I first started getting into the Astro a bit, and I was using my Schmidt. I purchased a 6.3 reducer because I have just the basic, orange C8, and I ordered it, and I was really shocked because I ordered this from a pretty decent, I'm not going to name the vendor, but it was a pretty reputable vendor, and I got fungus all inside the elements, in between the elements and everything. There was like this nasty filth and fungus that you can't scrub out or anything like. It's like inside in between the elements. So so don't trust your prime optics. Trust the telescope. When it comes to this stuff. But buyer beware sometimes on some of that stuff. You just never know. So.
Yeah, I mean, and the same thing with everything else. Even if you got a computer or something that's not working right, you want to unplug everything you got and then make sure it boots up. Same thing with the telescope. Take everything out of the way that you don't need, whether it's an eyepiece or not. Make sure you get in collimation and with the bare bones, and then start adding all your peripherals, your cameras, and all that kind of stuff as you go along. So then you can eliminate stuff as you start adding stuff. If there's any other.
So good luck, Chris. I'm sure you'll be fine. Yeah. So
simple rule: keep it simple, stupid.
Yeah.
That's me.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
The last S. That's me.
We got stupid. We got lazy. We got lush. So I mean.
Exactly.
So,
what is Tyler?
Exactly.
What is Tyler? I don't know. We'll have to think of something.
We'll think of something. Trust me. We'll think of something.
I'm gonna call Simon.
Right now, with all the gear he's getting, I'm just calling him Lucky SOB.
Or poor SOB, depending on
what. Called Simon the Hobbit.
Because he's always hiding down south.
He's always
He's hanging out in the Shire.
Mm-hmm. He's down there in New Zealand, so he's hanging out in the Shire.
Yep.
Well, he was going to come on tonight, but he got called into work.
I know.
He had to do a client call.
He was on vacation.
Vacation smation. Yeah.
Well,
I know. I finally had my first vacation because when COVID first started, I took all my vacations in March, April. In New York, it was a disaster in New York in March and April. Everybody, like, there was nothing but sirens and craziness going on. So I burned. I get 4 weeks of vacation a year, and I burned them all from March 31st to April 27th. I just burned them all. I said, I'm not going to work. So I haven't had a vacation. I've been working for McDonald's for like 30 years. I've been getting 4 to 6 weeks vacations a year for the past 20 years at least. And to not have a vacation from April to now, it's almost February.
Yep. Almost February.
My first planned vacation is until the end of March. I'll go a year. I am burnt. Out. 1 year straight with working. I can't. I will never do that again. I don't care. You could drop a nuclear bomb in front of my house. I'm going to work.
Well, the saying in my industry is the surefire way to get booked on a really big gig is book a vacation.
Yep, absolutely.
Or in my case, decide to knock up the wife and get pregnant, and then you have to turn down 3 weeks worth of work. Damn work starts coming back. Oh, crap.
Yeah.
Call me March 1st.
Yeah, exactly. Well, yeah. So that your date is coming up super soon, this.
Any day now. She's ready to pop. We had an appointment on Tuesday. Doc said we're close, but not there. It could be any time, and if we don't get movement by next Tuesday, they're gonna start trying to help move things along.
Yeah.
So she'll be at 38 and a half weeks on Tuesday of next week. So she's ready, and we got good news tonight. Right before the show, our friend that was pregnant within a week of her, week of my wife, actually just delivered their child. So she's got a healthy baby boy.
Nice.
Her and the baby are doing well. So that's great news because she's had a rough couple of months herself with complications. So we're glad to hear that they're doing good.
Relay her congratulations in the family from Astroworld.
Absolutely.
Will do.
Yeah.
Mazel tov.
L'chaim.
I'll definitely pass that along.
Well, now that you can, I mean,
right.
Trigger up. So I'm just trying to see what else we got going on here on. Let's see. Chris said, "Greater Bryce, thank you." He has a Celestron from 10 years ago.
They hold up, man.
Well, and they're probably better built 10 years ago than they are today. It's,
you take care of that bad boy, it'll last you forever.
If you get a handle on even like the Meads when they were born in Irvine, Celestron when they were born in the United States and wherever they were born, if you can find those hold up really well, really well.
Yeah.
I wish I still had my Celestron. I had an Ultima 8 2000, and I had one of those. That's gone. I sold that.
Days.
Yeah. So what else is going on? So I started the Boboverse.
Yeah.
I started it. I started the Boboverse.
We are Bob.
We are Bob. I had no idea what this was about. I went into this not knowing anything about this.
Uh-huh.
And I'm like, okay, and I got the audiobook. So I don't know if you did the audiobook, Eric. I don't know if you read it.
I have them all. There's 4 of them. I've got the trilogy. I didn't get the 4th one, but I've got the trilogy. Right?
Okay, so I'm almost done with the first one, the We Are Legion, I think it is.
Yep, We Are Legion.
I got a little confused at first because he was using the same voice for different characters for a second.
Mm-hmm.
And then when he starts changing into like different Bobs,
yeah,
then he started adding different voices. So it's kind of weird in the beginning. I'm probably gonna have to listen to it again to kind of get it. But it's not as funny as I thought it was. I thought it was more of a comedy.
It is. It does have some comedic points in it, but it also makes you think a little bit.
Yeah, it makes me think a lot. It's a great book.
It is. I mean, it's like certain, if there are certain possibilities with technology that happen in the future, with with death and all that stuff. I don't want to give it a whole thing away, but it's just like if things start to change, with certain things with technology, it kind of makes you weird about it. But other things are interesting. It is.
I'll just no big spoilers, and I'll just give the listeners, the 8 that we have, just a little bit of background of it. So basically,
the 8 that we have.
So basically, this guy gets into a bus accident, and he pays his people. He gets hit by a car, and he pays these people to cut off his head and freeze it in hopes that they can bring him back. And 100 or so years later, he comes back, but not in the way he thought. He comes back as a computer program, and it's all about him. The whole plan is to send him off to the stars to replicate and make more of himself, to kind of do some stuff and kind of find other places for humanity to settle. Yeah. So
he's playing Captain Kirk. He's his own Starfleet.
He's total Star Trek fan, and if you're into Star Trek, you'll get a lot of the jokes. But that's the basic. I don't want to give anything else about the book, but that's the basic of it. But so far so good. I think I like it.
Good. It's a good series. It's the 4th one I heard was a little iffy, but but overall it's a good series. And myself, I wrapped up. Let's see. I was reading a series called Helldivers, which is really fun if you're into.
Yeah, you mentioned that last week.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. It's almost like a mix of aliens and the apocalypse and this, that, and the other. So that one's really cool. And then I also started getting into a genre called Lit RPG. Have you ever heard of this genre called Lit RPG? It's literature role-playing game. Okay. It's basically this series of books. It's this genre of books that basically you're reading about people playing or living in almost like a role-playing game type thing when they're leveling up and they're getting better and they're doing all these adventures and this, that, and the other. And one that I've been listening to, which is probably my favorite one, is from a doctor actually wrote it, a medical doctor, Aileron Kong. He's been nicknamed the Godfather, the American, the Godfather of American lit RPG, or something like that. But it's a lot of fun. These are really enjoyable series. I think it's on book 8 right now, maybe book 9.
Wow, that many. Okay.
So he's got a really big following. You can check him out on Amazon and stuff like that, or download his books. They're a lot of fun. So if you're into something like that, if you're into like Dungeons and Dragons and role playing, and for back in the day or anything like that, give it a go. It's kind of fun.
So, speaking of that, I got a phone call. So I'm back to Dungeons and Dragons.
Oh God!
So I got invited.
Oh my goodness! I
got invited to do a 5e adventure from a friend of mine, which is 5th edition, and so now I'm doing back in Dungeons and Dragons again.
Okay. Real quick here. Scott was asking a couple of things about his 2600. Sorry, didn't mean to interrupt.
No, that's good.
So it says, Scott. So as far as the game for the 2600, so you can set this up in SPG, Sequence Generator Pro, with equipment profiles, because I have this 2600 color as well as the mono. He says, he's asking, could I set both cameras in the profile to gain 100 and leave it there?
That's all you, brother.
So both cameras, their profile set gain 100 for both of them and just leave it for both cameras.
You can in SGP, yes. Yep.
Yeah.
No, and with SGP, you can adjust the gains more so than you can within the AAP, ASIR Pro. The ASIR Pro will only let you select 0 and 100. So if you go into the actual drivers, you can make adjustments, but it won't work with the ASIR Pro, which is what I use, which is where my statement was based from.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
But in SGP, you can make those adjustments.
That helps, Scott. So, yes, you can do that with SGP as far as setting those gains. And set it to 100 for both of them and give it a go. Man, I haven't used ever. Like I said, since I've got this, since I've gone to ASIR, I haven't touched SGP.
You haven't had to.
Man.
You haven't had to. You got a one-stop shop. So
yeah,
I mean, we said it a bunch of times on the show.
Crack it open or do something with it just so I can, try to keep up with things, just so I can try to stay current a little bit on it. Not even if I'm going to use it, but just to keep up with it all.
I mean, we've said it a bunch of times on the show regarding the ASIR, is that if you want something ease of use, one-stop shopping at less than 500, and you're doing all ZWO stuff anyway, you may as well just get the Air. You may as well just get the Air. Now, that being said, there are some other functionalities that happen with other software that you could use with your ZWO cameras. You're limited a little bit in the ASIR, but is it enough to really say, hey, I'm going to spend the $159, whatever it is, for Sequence Generator Pro and get the functionality? Or no, okay, it's not worth it, right?
No, it's not for the
unless you are determined to say, you know what, I'm going to get ZWO, on some things, but I want QHY for maybe my main camera,
like me,
something like that. But ZWO for like my guiding. But for the most part, a lot of people, I think, they just usually purchase one brand of something and just stick with it. Especially when it comes to CMOS nowadays. I mean, you have a CCD, and you've had that for years, right?
Yeah.
So that's one of the reasons. So, with CCD, as long as you take care of it, it's there forever. You don't have to worry about it.
No.
But, for us that are, they're getting started with this, who've just getting into AP, or have only been in AP for maybe 5 years or less, you're probably running CMOS. And usually you are choosing a particular brand, or you have a certain brand you're going to stick with, and then that's it. So it just really depends, because they both use the same chips. They use the same sensors and everything. So it's just a matter of just your brand preference then.
Well, there's a caveat to that, because like I've discovered with the different manufacturers, even using the same chipset, they write their firmware differently.
Yep.
So looking at the two, perfect example of this is the 2600, the 6200 and the QHY 600s.
Okay.
So, exact same sensor, no difference whatsoever. You have twice the cache, and you have way more functionality in the QHY from a firmware perspective. Now, I haven't physically worked with these. I'm just going strictly based on specs and second or third party knowledge. The QHY has more functionality inherently on paper. The difference in price is a couple $100, but you get twice the amount of RAM on the QHY than you do the ZWO. There's no difference. It's the exact same electronics, the exact same sensors. It's just how they've handled it in the firmware. So that being said, the things that you're gaining with different manufacturers do have a small bearing. What really becomes the determining factor, do you want to be a brand loyalist, or do you want things to target very specifically what it can do, and then taking that and accentuating that, thus needing you to be in a more diversified platform? That's really what your decision comes down to.
And then, so good point. That's a really good point there, Jason. So, it just did, for me, I started out with ZWO, and for me, it was just like Jason, he's the lazy astronomer. I'm probably the laziest astronomer, so.
Hey, don't go stealing my moniker.
It's just, I saw a few videos and said, oh, ZWO, sure, I'll buy that. I'll be honest with you, I probably didn't know what the hell I was doing. I just said, you know what, I just want a dedicated Astro camera. I didn't want to, because everybody's talking about, I had the DSLR and that's, and it's all that stuff, and they're talking about modifying it, and I was like, I'm not, I'm good with computers and and electronics and stuff like that, but I just bought this camera and I'm not gonna crack it open.
Well, and the flip side of that is, if you don't already own a camera that you're going to modify, by the time you go and you pay somebody else to modify, so if they screw it up, it's on them.
Right.
You're already 80% the way there to buying a dedicated Astro camera.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you do it? Why wouldn't you do it?
Right.
You get into the cooled ones, they're a little bit more expensive, almost twice the cost. Your average cost with ZWO, which is what I'll reference because I know it, you're in the $300 to $700 range for an uncooled. You're in the $800 to up to $7,000 for the cooled versions. Depending on what you end up getting, but there's a drastic difference. Now, I've only ever worked with cooled cameras for my imaging. I have uncooled, of course, for guiding, but that is irrelevant. But I've only ever known cooled cameras because I saw the issues that I had dealing with my DSLR and sensor noise. I didn't want to deal with that, so I went directly to cooled cameras because I didn't want to have to deal with that issue.
Yeah,
so
I don't blame you.
But I had a ton of fun with the DSLR side of it, and it was a great learning curve, and it's really what made me salivate and want more out of this hobby, which then drove me into the cooled cameras and then started the telescope upgrade path. And, this is my 4th or 5th year now. I'm on my 6th scope. So, it progresses quickly, and I started with lenses, I moved into scopes, and now I'm very happy into scopes. And I'm in a very fortunate situation that I get to play with a lot of different scopes to kind of experience the gamut a little bit more than my finances would normally allow. So,
like I said, eventually I am going to get, just because I want it, and they look really, and the images look really good. Eventually, I am going to get a Ritchie. I am going to get an RC. So it's going to happen. It's money. Unless I get the steel optical tube type. You know, if you get these steel, but you can only usually get them. I think you can. They may make a 10-inch, but I think it's usually like 6 or 8. I think of the more common ones. I think they make a 10-inch. Yeah, optical. You know, steel tube type, or you can have the truss type, the truss tube with the carbon fiber type. But yeah, and Mark, I'm still waiting for some pictures, man.
Well, now he's waiting for clear skies. So he now has time to do imaging. It just, unfortunately, the weather is not cooperating.
Scott Cole had a question regarding the PhD2 multi-star guiding. Have you guys tried it?
No.
Yet?
It doesn't work in the ASIR Pro, so I...
Oh, I'm sorry. That's right. I forgot.
It's coming, hopefully.
No. Something that, have you tried it?
Yes, I have.
Have you tried it? And
yes.
So?
And I love it. You know what? I love it because you know why? If you guys have watched the show, you've heard me complain about telephone lines, trees, houses, all that kind of stuff that get in the way of my imaging. Now that it has multi-star guiding, I don't have to worry about that telephone line getting in the way anymore and worrying about my guiding. I just have to worry about the other stars around because it's going to check out all the stars. And if one drops out, it'll pick up on another one. And I'll mark it. I love it. I mean, my guiding accuracy has gotten better by about 0.2 of an arc second on average.
Okay, that's good. That's good.
So yeah, so I went down from running about 0.7, 0.8, 0.6 on a good night, down to 0.6 consistently. So I'll take it. I mean, and with my seeing, I don't need that type of guiding.
Right.
I'm guiding a lot better than my cruddy seeing on Long Island, so I'm not worried about that. You know, so you know, if I was in let's say Arizona, where you know the seeing is a lot better than it is on Long Island, you know, then I would probably have to guide a little bit better than that. But I mean, you know, 0.6 Long Island.
Well,
I'm good at 1.0. I mean, I'm okay with that. You know.
Yeah. So even with both of my scopes, one on a tripod, one on a tri-pier, I'm still averaging, on a good night with no wind, in a really good polar alignment, I'm at 0.48. My average is usually about a 0.7. I can fix that, Dan. I built mute buttons.
You did. I know you did.
I had to, because certain people that remain unnamed go off and have a lot of background noise, so I've had to start muting things. Which is what happens to my mic, because my daughter comes in, so I mute my mic all the time, which is why it's hardly ever on when I click over.
Gotcha. But yeah, no, 0.5, I mean, that look at your mounts too. I mean, your mounts are just, you know.
That's what I average with mine, because I tell you, when I had my CGX, I was always over an arc second. I was looming between 1 and 2 arc seconds. That was pretty much normal. It was between 1 and 2 arc seconds. Yes, with my CGX.
That high?
Yes.
I'm getting 0.7 with a $1,500 mount. All right, no problem. I'm good.
Well, I'm getting the same thing with the CM40, which is about a $1,500 mount.
And you should.
Yeah.
And you should. But when you spend the $2,800 on a mount.
Yeah. I mean, I spent $3,000 on that mount, and I was averaging between 1 and 2 arc second.
And you thought it was the best thing ever.
I thought it was awesome.
That's
until
crazy.
I got that 60. Then I got that 60.
Yeah.
And I was just like,
wow, that sucked. I've seen the promised land.
Like, you know, I know Mark's he had the 6 and he went to the EQ8R, and I know he's got his guiding using PhD2 and the multi-star now. his guiding's down to like 0.48, which
Wow.
is absurd. It'll be helpful when he gets the RC going on there, but for everything else,
He's
it's
gonna need it.
yeah, yeah,
He'll need
2400 millimeter, he'll need it.
Yeah.
But and he's got his EQ or his CEM 70G on the way, hopefully here in the next week or so. So
yes,
I mean,
Mark,
look
I
at
know
that.
you love. What?
Look at that.
Look at, oh, what am I looking at? I'm sorry, I was looking at the thing. Wait,
mean,
I
can you see
lost
that?
it. 0.48. Yeah, I see it.
See, this is what I'm
Like that.
supposed. This is what I expect.
Yeah, that's what you should expect.
so
This
Eric,
is what I. This is what I expect.
click on the
this is what
graph
I'm
and look
getting
at,
out
show
of
us your
my
settings
CEM.
there. Click on the graph and take us into click on the
Click
graph
on the
and go into
graph.
the settings.
There you go.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
Wow.
And to show it over time, click on the X50 and take it to X200.
Was that a dither?
Yep, that'd be a dither point.
Yep.
Yeah, that's a dither.
Man, that's awesome.
Nah,
So your
this is
total
now-
over. So what is that? Is that how many minutes is that?
That's gain 28 on a 120 mini.
No, I mean the graph.
So X200 is 200 data points, and he's doing 2
Right.
seconds.
Yeah.
So
I'm doing 2 seconds.
400 seconds of time interval, point to point.
All right. So over 7 minutes, you're at 0.67. I'll take that all day.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's with the dither
And
point
this is
too.
using-
That's in the
yeah.
Yeah.
In this guide scope, I'm using in a little bit about, okay, so the guide camera is an ASI 290mm mini.
okay.
And I'm using my my triplet, my GT71 APO
Okay.
as my guide scope.
That's a
On
sick
top
guide
of
scope.
my-
That's a sick guide scope.
Uh-huh.
Man. Yeah, it's
Overkill.
crazy. A little bit.
Yeah.
That's all right. You know, get results like that. You can kill whatever you want.
Yeah. So you know what? I was like,
The funny thing is, Mark is actually talking about using his Space Cat as his guider for the RC.
Okay.
Because he has it, and at
that
2400
is,
millimeter.
you know what? And now it's kind of like with me because I haven't used the GT71 because I've got my RASA, right? And my RASA is 400 millimeter focal length. And the GT71 is 420, but then with the reducer, it goes down to 360. And it goes down to f4 because it starts out at f5.9. And then with the reducer go down to f4, but I've got the RASA. So, and I'm getting basically the same, just like the reason why you got rid of Jason, you decided to sell your Space Cat.
Well,
is because
I got rid of the Space Cat because I wasn't using it because I bought the
right. You weren't using it.
Yeah.
Because you were basically at the same focal. You were using the ASCARs at basically the same focal length.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, I've got the RASA, so I'm at basically the same focal length with the GT71. But it was my first scope, so I'm kind of sentimental with it. It was my first, AP scope, so I'm not getting rid of it, at least not anytime soon. So I said, I'm going to find some use out of it. So I'm using it as a guide scope.
So there's a couple of, Chris T said, your RA and your deck aggression are higher than suggested defaults. However, it seems to be working for you. Maybe I should increase as well.
It works.
So the only thing I would say on that is be careful what you wish for, because just because it works for Eric's mount doesn't mean it's going to work for yours.
And
that's true.
I will further attest to that because I see a lot of guys, especially on our ZWO beta testers group. There are guys that are using like 80% aggression on both raw and deck, and I'm like, seriously?
Yeah,
but they're getting 0.48s. I'm using my RA is at 35, my deck is at 15%, and I can get 0.48s if there's no wind.
Yeah.
So, it's attainable. It all depends on your scope, how you got things balanced, what you have on there, and really what your mount's going to do. So don't look at his number as a hard fast. You've got to kind of play and find that sweet spot, and it's really you have to go out there, move it, let it run for 5 minutes, and see what the number does. Don't take it just because you moved it, and 30 seconds later, it's not a true read. You have to let it go for an entire graph run. And if you're at X50 on the AAP, so at 2 seconds, that's 111 seconds. That's 2.5 minutes or 2 minutes plus. You have to let that full duration go to get a true read of what that average is, because it's averaging the entire graph, not that point of measurement.
If you're only trying to go on one point, you're not going to see what you want to see.
Yeah. So, and going to a faster interval isn't necessarily going to give you a truer read, because all you're doing is slowing down your light gather. So it's not a true metric. So stay at whatever you're going to guide at.
I've actually found reducing mine. I usually, right now it's at 2 seconds, but I'm usually luming between 2 to 3 seconds.
Right.
A lot of times I'm at 3 seconds.
I only do it at 2 seconds. For me, at 3, I get a little bit too much variant, so my mount is more stable at 2 seconds. But I'm also running an f4 guide scope. It's a 70 millimeter, 250 millimeter focal length guide scope. So for my setup, a 2 second exposure is perfect. If I go to 3, I get too much variant, and it doesn't guide as smooth. So I've tended to back off to 2 seconds, and that's been my sweet spot.
It's gonna be different for everybody. So
it will be. It will be really different for everybody. I mean, it depends, because mounts are, even though you can buy the same model, same brand and model, they're almost like fingerprints or like snowflakes. They're quite unique in a lot of the things they do, as far as, the mechanics and just how they're, and how you're going to use it. They're not all, they're same brands and stuff like that, same models, but sometimes they do have their own little, each one has a little bit of a difference here and there.
Yep.
And you've got to figure out what that is.
Yeah, I think Scott's got a question for you, Eric, regarding an off-axis guider.
Yes. With my SCT, when I do when I do use my SCT for AP, I do use an off-axis guider. I actually use the ZWO off-axis guider, and it works really well. I have even used it on my refractor that I have right now. I usually tend to, anything close to 1,000 millimeter focal length, I would use an OAG. That's just my thought. My train of thought. Don't take that as that's what you should do, but to answer your question, yes, I do use an OAG with my Schmidt. Not with the Rasa, but with my C8.
Mark said, depending on conditions, he's dropped down to half a second exposure for guiding.
Right.
But what scope is that, Mark?
I don't know. That sounds a little low to me.
Well, like I use a half second when I'm trying to get things initially set, just because I want that fast interval, but not for duration of imaging. No, it's too fast.
Yeah, that's really fast. A half a second.
Yeah, I think you're not gonna get enough judgment on your graph at a half a second.
Well, in my experience, doing a half second, you get too much variation in the star from flutter as the mount's making adjustments.
Yeah.
So your star's going to be moving, so your graph is trying to compensate for that, and thus your motor is being adjusted a lot faster. My experience has been 2 seconds has been a fairly safe gamble.
Yeah.
Mark says the reason why he's at a half a second is because of wind.
If it's that windy, I don't image.
Don't image. Yeah. I anything over 14 miles an hour, I don't even go out.
Yeah.
Well, like with
guiding is going to be all over the place.
With the 152, if it was over
Well,
8
you're
miles,
probably like, yeah, if you're probably like in the single digits, I was gonna say, but
I can usually do pretty good. I could push to 10, but usually if it's starting to push 8 consistently,
yeah,
I'm done for the night. Or I got to swap all the hardware over and get it back over to the 102 and shift gears to a little bit lighter scope so I don't have the wind trying to tow it.
oh yeah, because you got a huge target for that's a wind sail at that point. The thing is
I mean,
huge.
Oh yeah.
The
Yeah.
freaking dew shield on that thing's about the size of a 5-gallon bucket. So, it's pretty intense.
Nice.
Now, do you guys? You just mentioned this a little bit. So do you swap? Do you basically have? Do you transfer your image train and everything and your imaging setup, like your filters and filter wheel, all that stuff, over from the 152 to the 102? Whenever you want to decide, okay, what target am I going to do?
Well,
and then
it's been a little different because I've been trying to do some testing with the 152. So I've been very dead set focused on it as of late. Of course, with the last 2 weeks of being all clouded over, I haven't gotten the imaging and stuff that I need to finish the video that I have done. Just looking to get the images at the tail end of it. But for this particular series, I'm dead set on using the 152. But to answer more generally, yes, I do move the imaging train back and forth between the scopes. So I have everything up to where the filter drawer mounts on each scope. So I buy the parts for everything up to the filter drawer. And then I just take the filter drawer and camera and move it between the different. And I could technically get a filter drawer so that I could do it and just move the camera back and forth. But it's $100 for the filter drawer.
Yeah.
Do I need it? No. It's just as easy to unscrew it, screw it into the next one.
Yep.
It really doesn't make that big of a difference, so I haven't spent the money to do it. I know I need more drawers themselves or more sliders.
I need more. Yeah, I need more drawer. I need more sliders myself, especially with the roster.
Well, I was playing with a theory that didn't end up panning out as well as I'd hoped it would. Shooting narrow band with the one-shot colors. It just made for a really big headache, so I'm not pursuing that. But I've got a really nice, I think they're 4.5 nanometer HA and O3 that are sitting on my dining room table, waiting to play with some other toys eventually.
Have you ever? You've got some dual band, don't you?
I have. I have the L Pro. I have the L Extreme and the L Enhanced.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah. So
so you were actually, you just.
I was trying to HA
actual narrow band filters. Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Well, my thought was because I've been struggling, and it's mostly my processing that's the roadblock for me because I just can't seem to wrap my head around it the way I think I should be. I cannot seem to pull blue out of any of my images, whether I shoot with the L Pro or with the L Extreme. And the L Extreme, I don't expect it because it is very heavy red, and I fully expect it to be that way. But when I shoot in L Enhanced or L Pro, I expect to be able to pull blue out, especially the L Pro. And I cannot for the life of me seem to be able to pull blue out of the images. For this argument, the rosette, which you should be able to pull some blue out of the core. At the very least, get a fair amount of orange. And I'm struggling to get orange. I can get pink and red. I cannot get orange or blue.
That's interesting because the L Pro is basically just a luminance filter.
Well, the L Pro, it's just light pollution. It's just dealing with the mercury vapor lights that we're dealing with down here.
So you're not going to get that yellow blue with the L Pro.
No.
You're gonna need the narrow band ones to do that. And it's gonna be. I mean, I've seen people do it with the L Enhanced and a one-shot color. I don't know what that entails. I'll tell you that I've been using the. I've been doing SHO on the rosette, and I'm having some struggles as well. Just getting the right contrast of the colors.
Yeah.
But I'm able to pull out the red and the yellow just from doing SH and O, just mono.
Yeah.
I don't know as far as the struggles with that object in a one-shot color because I don't do
Well, and I mean, I've gotten good images, but I see other people's images, and I know they're probably doing. I know they're doing it with one-shot color, but they're probably separating and doing more of a HO2 or an SHO palette
Right.
with that data, and I just haven't dived down that rabbit hole far enough yet to get comfortable at even a commiserate blow at it. So,
All right. Well,
Now-
it's going to be learning.
Yeah, what I did is I actually I split the channel because I used the L enhance on my rosette, and I split the channels, and basically did everything with. I did things with Pix Insight because I have a lot of times I've done it with APP, but this time I wanted to do it. I wanted to mess around with PI, and so I ended up splitting everything off and used Pixel Math.
okay.
Yep.
To recombine everything, and I basically went off of Sean's tutorial.
Sean Nielsen's tutorial.
Yep.
Yep. And it came, and for me, it came out really nice. It came out really well. So give it a shot. Give that a shot and see. What
I kind of played with that, but I wasn't able to get the detail out that he was, and it's a lot of it's just me and not knowing well enough what to do. And Tyler's been very nice and actually gifted me 2 hours with Gary Palmer over in the UK, and I just need to do it. We've finally got connected, and I just need to make time in my schedule to sit down with him for 2 hours to do the training. And I sent him my Rosette images to deal with or to reference and help me work through. I just haven't been able to connect time frame with enough time frame to be able to pull it off effectively.
Right.
Trying to pull up so you guys can see what I'm talking about. I think it's in here. But I don't know which one I did. It's probably in 2020.
Because while you're looking at that, or you're looking for yours, I'll show this. And you go to here. So this was my original. This was with this is with the 533 MC Pro, and using the Rasa. So this was with the L enhance that I did this one.
Yeah, see how you're getting the blue in there.
Yeah, so you see a little bit of the blue in there. And then I use Sean's method, and this is the other one. That's what I came up with.
Yeah. Yeah, you could probably bring out that yellow even a little bit more if you wanted to.
Yeah, I could have.
But it looks nice. It looks beautiful though.
Yeah, thanks. And then I started, learning a lot about doing this, especially when you're doing narrowband images and trying to do something with the stars, because the stars will always end up kind of looking funky.
Yep.
When you're doing narrowband, I was doing a lot with mask, star mask.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
And pick, using a lot and just trying to, a lot of times just zeroing things out just so I can not have those weird colors and just basically I make the stars white.
Yep. Or you could actually just take an RGB for 2 hours and just overlay the RGB stars on your narrowband.
No, you know what? And I was thinking about that, because I've seen you do it, and I said, you know what? I'm going to give that a try next time. It's just, I've never layered like that before. That's the thing.
Yeah, and you know what? And Sean has a video on how to do that in about less than a minute.
Okay.
Again, both ones are processed already, but the combination less than a minute. Less than it's like, here's the expression for pixel math. You copy it down at the bottom, pop it on there, and you're done.
Okay. Because
it was that fast. It was that fast.
So there's so many things with PI that I still don't know.
Yeah.
I haven't. I've got to grab I've got to grab the other Masters of Pix Insight classes. Yeah, I've got to grab sessions 3 and 4.
Well, the next session is the 17th.
Yeah.
I think February.
3 weeks.
And I think this is the one where you and me and Jason and those intermediate kind of users that know a little bit, know the basic stuff, know what an STF is, know what curves are, know what integration is, and how to use WB, know all that stuff, know a little bit about masks. And that. This one coming up is the intermediate users group. That these are the ones that, okay, I know the basics. Now they're calling it putting it all together. And I'm super excited for that. And it's $35. You get a 2-hour class. Usually they have about 80 people on at any one time. But I mean, I'm excited for that one. I'm really excited for that one.
Yeah.
I think it's
gonna have to sign up for that one.
Yeah, don't count on me on the date. I think it's the 17th, but go to mastersofpixinsight.com and you can check it out and see what the deal is.
And
there.
even if you don't get a chance to join in the session, you can still get the information. You can still get the videos after the sessions are done. For $35, you have access to it for like 4 months.
3 months. 3 months. Yep.
3 months. Okay. And you can still do that with the other previous ones too. So, I mean, I'm not sure how long they'll last, but if you want to, you can grab them and start watching and try to keep, catch up, because you can go from very beginning all the way up to now, up to what they've got.
Yeah.
Now. And Adam Block he just brought out a new tutorial series on his website. Because I purchased his series, the Horizon, basically
you got the Horizons?
Yeah, for fundamentals. Anything with Pix Insight, I'm probably going to end up grabbing it, because, there's always something new that somebody can point out to me that others, may have not have touched on, but others will. So whatever deals with Pix Insight, I'm grabbing it. But I haven't pulled the trigger
on the Horizons yet, but I am a subscriber of the fundamentals.
Yeah, and see with the fundamentals, you can so they're just putting it all together. So $35, on the 16th, Feb 16th.
Oh, 16th, okay.
Yep. So, but yeah, Adam Block, he put everything out. I can't remember what he called it. Let me see here if I can sign in here. Fast Track. So that's what it's called. It's Fast Track Training. So if you've got that, or if you're interested, Adam, I don't know how many APODs this man has been given, but he just like, Ron Breacher, I mean, he is a straight up master of Pix Insight. So
Scott said there's no more 3-month time limit. They got rid of the time.
Oh, that's nice.
That's nice. Mark Ellis is talking about StarNet.
Yes, that's another one. Because didn't you use isn't there a way, because didn't you do something where you use StarNet, or maybe somebody else did, to pull StarNet, to pull the stars and everything off of your image, and then you had your RGB and you put your RGB on top of it, as a substitution, to cover it. Yep. So that's definitely another method.
Yeah, and if you haven't checked out Dark Archon's way to speed up StarNet, for those of you that have used StarNet, know that it can be a dreadfully painful process if you have a slower computer. It can be really, really long.
Caveat: you have to have an NVIDIA chipset.
I was getting there. You got to have an NVIDIA GPU to take care of that.
Yeah, it's specific NVIDIA GPUs.
It's very specific. So there is a list of compatible graphics cards on there. So make sure you take a look at that. Make sure. But I will tell you this: if you have a compatible NVIDIA GPU and you haven't done this and you use StarNet, go do it, because it works, and it probably, I think, a 5-minute normal StarNet reduction of star removal is under a minute now.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I mean,
it's an 80% reduction.
Yeah, it's awesome. Now the other stuff I'm not a big fan of. The whole easy processing suite, I'm not that much of a fan of. But to each his own. If you want something quick and easy, it's a really, really good process to do.
I tried it. It caused more headaches than it was worth. So
yeah,
on it.
that's what I thought as well. So I took it off my computer actually really quick. But his Dark Archon for the StarNet Plus, that's awesome. So go get it.
Sean has a video of how to install that and the benefits that it does do as well.
Yep, I actually used his video to install everything. So he actually was the one that probably has been pushing the Dark Archon stuff as much, as anybody else has.
So we luckily had an actual couple of questions from the same user on Facebook. Mike Maas was asking, what would you recommend for a beginner for astrophotography? I have two reflectors, 10 and a 5-inch. The 10-inch is a Dobsonian with no tracking. So
I'm sorry. I lost that. That was like a lot. I didn't really hear that.
So he's asking questions that we've approached in other episodes, and we've kind of covered some of this. And his question leaves out very important details that we really can't specifically answer without more info. But Mike, if you do want to go back through our show archives in previous shows, we do go over some of the things about being a beginner and using like a DSLR. Now, DSLRs do not work really well with Dobsonians, especially ones that don't track, because Dobsonians are not very good for doing photography. They're very good for visual. But especially with a 5-inch, you're not going to get a whole lot there. You'd have to be a very lightweight, uncooled camera to be able to image, and it's going to have to be on a very high-end mount in order to be able to get it smooth enough to be able to actually image. So they're not ideally set up for doing imaging. They're more specifically set for visual. There are certain ones that you can do that with, and you may have one of those, but I don't think so by what you're describing from what we see.
Yeah, you probably need a go-to at bare minimum, Dobsonian, which they do sell. But if you don't have one, you can get something called a tracking platform. And basically for about 45 minutes, you take this big platform and you plop your Dob on it, and it will track for 45 minutes. You just got to reset it every 45 minutes. That could work for about $300. You get something like that for a Dob. But I think Jason's right when he says that if you don't have a way to lock down your tube, you're gonna have a hard time trying to keep that with a camera in there and stuff like that to kind of observe. Right, it's gonna be tough. It's gonna be tough.
And that's where the imaging Newtonians actually shine as opposed to the Dobsonians. So, not to try to dissuade you from doing it, but research the different things. There's tons of different forums and things like that go over this in detail. But what we're seeing of your question, you're not properly outfitted at this point to do imagery. You're more outfitted for doing visual.
Okay, let me see this real quick.
Yeah. One thing is he didn't say much but was he actually thinking about using his Dobs to do imaging?
He was asking. He's a beginner, so he was asking if he has a 5 and a 10-inch Dobsonian. He doesn't say with the 5-inch. The 10-inch is a Dobsonian with no tracking. Okay. So just by his statement, it doesn't have enough information to give a fully factual, but I think we've covered pretty well that based on what we can see, it is not going to be ideal for imaging.
Right. So yeah, if that's the case, then you can go like to Jason's point. You can go to a lot of our previous videos that we talk about, getting started, because Dobbs are probably one of the best for visual, especially if you're getting into astronomy. They are fantastic.
Well, and they're a great entry level scope because it gets you to start learning the night sky.
They're very low. They're very inexpensive, but they're relatively inexpensive. They're a great scope. Dan, you have them for outreach, and you have some that you use. But when it comes to astrophotography, that type of a reflector is not probably what you want to go to. But if you are comfortable with Dobsonians, then and with collimation and everything, then I would consider just starting to start looking at a Newtonian.
Yeah, the imaging Newtonians are a phenomenal way to get in, and they're not that much more expensive than the Dobsonians.
Yeah.
It's almost the same design. It is the same design.
It's the exact same design. It's just they're built with a little bit better optics that are going to give you a less fringing and things like that. You're going to be able to hang the weight off the side because of the way it's formatted better.
Right.
And you'll be able to put an uncooled and lightweight rig on the side of it. You could do one of the lighter, like a 533 cooled off the side. But again, you're going to want that on a really good tracking mount to try to eliminate a lot of that flexure and torque.
Right.
But
and the big thing about that is just to your point, Jason, what you were saying, if you are going to get into astrophotography, the most important piece of equipment to purchase is the mount. Plain and simple. Yep. Don't go off and buy your scope or anything like that until you've done some research on good tracking mounts, equatorial mounts, because we've always talked about it. You can buy some of the best optics out there, but if your mount, is not up to snuff, your images are not going to be up to snuff. So,
and you're going to be so frustrated.
You'll fight it the whole way through, and it'll be so frustrating.
Yep. But I'll tell you this, and if you do want to do imaging with a Dobsonian, I'm going to show you something really quick. And this is a picture that I took with a Dobsonian. Okay, that is a picture of Jupiter with an 18-inch Obsession Dob tracking mount.
That's nice.
And that's a picture of Saturn with the 18-inch Obsession. So
I like that. I like that kind of Jupiter. That was pretty good. That wasn't too bad.
Yeah, I got lucky with this. This is I didn't time the red spot. It was just there.
Right.
But you know what? Listen, this was done on a whim. I have never done this is first light with an 18-inch Obsession and a DSLR camera. So I was very happy with this and with this. These were both actually done the same night, believe it or not. And I just thought it was awesome. Now again, the Obsession is an $8,000 Dob with $2,000 motors on them. So I mean, you're 10,000 in, but it's really mostly done for visual, not really meant for photography.
Yeah.
But and if you want to see some more pictures, and if Eric and Jason ever give me pictures, they'll have pictures up there too. But they don't give me any pictures, so they're just blank. So.
Well, I have to get where I feel comfortable with my photos because the stuff that I have, I know you guys have said it looks good. I get a lot of compliments online. I'm not happy with them, and I really want to figure out my PI processing better. Before I start putting stuff, especially on the website, because it's a representation of me, and I know that it's a constant learning curve, and I shouldn't be so vain about it, but Yeah.
No, no, absolutely. You should be happy with your work, and when you're ready, the spot is there for you.
Yep.
However, you can give me like pictures of your rig and stuff, so I can put that up there.
I did send that.
Oh, did you?
I sent you photos of the rig and photos of me with the rigs. Yeah, that one.
That's all you got.
Well, that's all I put up there for now. Because those are the ones I own.
Right. Yeah, just put the ones that you own there.
Yeah, those are the ones that I own. I have two.
Up there.
I have two scopes setting in my one. Actually, they're both in the dining room right now. That I'm doing some evaluation and testing on. That my friends are trying to very poignantly guide me into purchasing. I just need that whole work thing and money flow coming back in so that I can actually afford to do this.
No, but if I've got my AstroBin page, but I'll send you some of my fairly decent images.
Yeah, no, just a couple. I don't need just throw some pictures up there. And I'll throw. I know both of you guys are doing your own YouTube stuff as well. I'll put the links for that on there as well. So I mean, it's the website is getting better. I'm adding more stuff to it every day. So
and even the stuff that I'm doing, I'm trying to do it under the AWTV brand, of course, but it is me, so I'm talking about me personally. But
absolutely.
I'm wearing the shirt when I'm up there. I'm opening and closing about AstroWorld because this is a partnership.
Absolutely.
So, we were trying to be able to get this on to or the video that I just debuted tonight was initially targeted at Explore Scientific, but because of some relationship things, they're not going to host it. But the information is still pertinent.
Absolutely.
And I was very careful in trying to show a way to do it that is, number one, non-destructive to either piece of hardware, and number two, an inexpensive solution that even I, up until a week ago, hadn't really thought about. So I went back to my engineering mindset and kissed. I went back. First thing I got to do is figure out how to mount this with the only two holes that work. That are already threaded, because two of them aren't threaded on a stock focuser. Then I had to figure out what's the thread pitch. Then I had to figure out now how long do the screws need to be. I figured all that out for you. Then I mounted the L bracket and went, oh, look, there's about 1/8 of an inch gap. How do I overcome that? Cheapest, easiest way, couple of washers.
Yep.
Is it pretty? No, but I'm not looking to win awards for pretty. I'm looking to win awards for function. And I think I got there.
Yeah.
So.
All right. Well, it's about that time, fellas.
Yeah, we're at 2:33, so we've broken our 2-hour time limit.
We broke that a long time ago. We keep on breaking this time. We keep on breaking limits.
No matter how many times we do this, we're like, oh, we got to get it under 2 hours. We never get it under 2 hours.
No, we keep on saying we got to get it under an hour.
Yeah, but real quick before we go, Dan had sent me, forwarded me an email from a user or a watcher of our show, which I really appreciate, and definitely to continue to advertise the website as well. Check out the website, and if you do have questions. You can send them to, I believe, what is it, Dan? info@AstroWeb. AstroWorld Web TV. Yep. AstroWorldWeb.com. Yep. So definitely, if you have any questions, because he was shooting me some questions about my William Optics telescopes, which I have a few of them, and I answered them back. Hopefully, the answers I gave will be of help to him. But definitely, if you have questions, definitely, send us an email. Or you can even hop on to Facebook, or Twitter, any social media sites like you see down below, and shoot us some questions. And you never know, we might even post your questions here on, or bring up your questions here on the show, and talk amongst ourselves about that, and maybe open it up to the forum a little bit. So.
Yeah, and sooner rather than later, you'll be able to contact Eric and Jason at their own email address, Eric or Jason at astroworldweb.com. So you'll be able to be doing that. Yes, you'll have your own special, moniker. You'll have your own little. We're running out of room. You're gonna have to make different lower thirds for everybody.
Yeah, right.
But for now, if for everybody, I have access to info@astroworldweb.com, and then for now, I will forward it to the proper person that you want to speak to. So, yeah. All right.
So, yeah.
Well, thanks again, guys. It's been another great evening, and I love not only all the questions and stuff that we got online, but just our usual chats are something I look forward to every week. So,
yeah, me too.
Me too. I look forward to this every week. It's one of the highlights of my week, just to hang out with my buds here and answer some questions about this hobby that I absolutely love. I'm obsessed with this hobby, man. It's crazy.
and I think by next week I may actually have a haircut. So it's been about 8 months. And
mine's been 3 weeks, and I already need another one.
Oh no, mine's 8 months. I mean, it's crazy.
Well, my problem is I've been cutting my hair at this length, well, shorter than this usually, for 2 years. So if I try letting it grow out, I get horns that I need a dye grinder to take down. So. It's as you can see, it's getting a little toughy on each side here.
Yeah.
I'm
due for one too. It's time for me to shave this bud again.
Yeah,
I usually don't like it this long. Dang COVID.
Dude, my wife was giving me the buzz cut, the COVID buzz cut, and I just said, I kept on getting lazy. I'm like, no, don't worry about it. We'll do it next week. Now it's been since like June. It was warm the last time I got, got a haircut because we were outside, because I didn't want to do it inside because I thought the hair was going to get all over the place. So I think for my birthday is in a couple of days. I hit the big 5-0 in a couple of days.
Oh, gosh.
Yes, I know. It's dreadful. I'm closer to death than alive. So
I'm closer there every day, so don't feel bad.
Yeah,
same here. And I'm not that far behind you, man. Heck, mine's in December.
Yeah.
Mine's in May, and I turned 40 this year. So
40. I wish I was 40 again.
I got 40. Bad back, starting to get bad knees.
Oh, God! You have no idea what you're looking forward to.
Yeah, you have no idea what you're in for.
That's a tip of the iceberg, man.
I've been jumping off of 3-foot stages and in and out of semi trucks for too many years. So
okay, but that's okay though. Now what you got to do is pull a hamstring getting off the toilet bowl, and then talk to me.
I've thrown my back out just rolling out of bed. Calling the chiropractor, going, "Can you get me in today? I can't walk."
All right, guys. You guys are talking to. You know what? It is. Yeah, I'm looking at the time now. It's past my bedtime.
Yeah, it's already past my bedtime. Yeah, if I start talking potty talk, it's time to go to bed.
Yeah. When you get this age, you're like, oh my goodness, yeah, I should be in bed already.
Dude, it's funny you say that because I was talking to my friend Walter, he's a longtime friend of mine. He now lives in Green Valley by Jason's area, neck of the woods. And we used to go out in the early night, we would just go out every night. It wouldn't matter, but we would start at about this time, know.
Yeah.
And now I'm like, oh, babe, man, it's 9:30. It's time for bed.
I've got a buddy here in town that we used to go out and we'd drive out into the desert and we'd go photograph until 3-4 in the morning. And it got to the point, because I get car narcolepsy if I'm driving alone, and especially being I get up at 5-6 in the morning. For me to go out at 9 o'clock and go get out in the middle of the desert, set all the gear up, shoot, but BS, stay awake the whole time, pack everything down, and then drive an hour and a half back. I risk driving off the road, and I'm like, I can't do it. If somebody wants to drive with me to keep me awake, I'll go. But that's why I started doing stuff in the backyard, because I don't have to worry about driving off the side of the road and getting killed, because I can't keep my eyes open.
Yeah, that's it, man. It ain't worth it. It's
Besides,
all good.
I can tuck my kid in. I can go check on the wife, make sure she's still doing all right, and I can still image when there's not a giant carpet of clouds overhead.
I just want to say one thing before we shut off. Tom Digon said the links. Tom, the links for the StarNet for the Dark Archon stuff. Email me at info@astroworld.com. I'll send you the link if you email me. I'll send that to you. Hopefully you get the right one. What else? There was a couple other ones. Show them the drawing we did for other client, Dan. I don't have that on my computer. That's only on my phone, Scott. Chris T said thanks for the help, guys. And Mark doesn't Mark doesn't remember 50, and George Lutch is on. So hi, George. and then that's all I got. I'm done. I need to go to bed. I got to get up to work tomorrow.
Yeah, but you're going to the camera store. Does that really work?
Oh, let me tell you something.
When you do what you love.
But it's been busy as you have no idea how busy it's been over there. It's crazy.
Oh, I'm sure.
I sold on last Thursday to 2 people about 15 grand worth of stuff.
Wow. Let me ask you something real quick. With this whole COVID thing, compared to, if you recall, the past times that, your past working with CCT and now.
There's nothing before COVID. There's nothing before COVID.
Yeah.
There's no PC pre-COVID, post-COVID.
As far as, the popularity and how busy you've gotten, with everything now compared to then when, we didn't have this, we weren't locked into our homes and everything like that. I'm sure business picked up like crazy now compared to than in the past.
Everybody is back ordered on every sort of telescope. I mean, I look,
you can't get it imported.
with the exception of Tyler and his 120, everything else is back ordered. I mean, everything's back ordered. It's ridiculous. We're 6 to 8 weeks on Celestron 8s. We're late April for a EQ6R Pro. If you order it now.
Well, just the 70G, you guys are 2.5 months.
Yeah, well, the 70G was also brand new when you bought it. So
Mark ordered it 2 months after I did, and he's still working on 2 months now.
Yep. Well, there's something to be said for Ioptron, and they don't keep a lot in their stock, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
They don't.
They don't keep a lot in their stock. It's not a made to order thing.
Yeah.
But they keep very, very limited inventory on the high-end mounts because, in all fairness, how many do you really sell across country over the course? Maybe if they got 10 in their inventory, 20, so if they get a big rush like we all have had right now, from Celestron to even the Meads are selling out. Because nobody can find anything else. People are buying Meads again. So,
right.
They figure they're on fire sale because, who knows how long they'll be around.
Yeah, well, I'd be surprised if they're around by next year, but that's just my thoughts. It's a guess.
Yeah.
Everybody's right. Takahashi, Ioptron, Celestron, Skywatcher. The only people that really aren't back ordered, believe it or not, is Sharpstar and ASCAR. Those guys have got pretty good. William Optics has been holding up very well.
Yeah.
And who else am I thinking of as far as scopes? That's really honestly, that's really
just
about it. Explore Scientific is pretty good too.
They've been doing really well. Yeah, they had a rush.
In the beginning they were backlogged, but I think they're back on the production line, so I think they're good now.
They got bit a little bit with their holiday sale that they did. They couldn't get enough stuff in for the number of scopes that they were selling. So I mean, I have a little bit more insight because of my relationship with Tyler, but you know, they were working their butts off trying to get caught up, and then when everything finally hit, there was 10 guys trying to get all this stuff out to all the distribution in the U.S.
I know at Chemical Concepts we got 52 boxes in one order. One delivery from Explorer. Yep. So it's 2 pallets worth of stuff.
Well, I think at their peak they had 18 semi-trailers waiting to get dumped, flipped, and reshipped.
That doesn't surprise me. Yeah, that's crazy.
And they're just trying to catch up. So I mean, it's coming. It's just coming in very large bursts.
And I know a lot of it goes both ways. You know, manufacturing slowdowns. You know, because of the pandemic, but just the interest.
Has been huge.
The interest alone is. Yeah, because you know what, and like you said before, Eric. Yeah, like you said before, I mean, people are looking for stuff to do that's
at home.
At home.
Yeah.
You know, you don't need to spend any money once you're done. You just bring it out to the backyard and look up.
Yep.
You know, so once you make the initial investment, so what? You spend, you know, if you don't want to do imaging, fine. You spend $500-600 on a nice big Dob so you can see some stuff.
Yeah. Yep. Exactly.
You know, if you want something with some computer capability, you can get what's called a push 2 for the Dob. You don't need a go 2. You get a push 2. It gives you a little computer capability. And then if you want to spend a little bit more, you get a go 2. You know, but you know, you think about it. You got $1,500 for $1,600 for a go 2 Dob. You got $1,200 for an 8-inch Schmidt. I mean, you know, so I'll go with the Dob.
Yeah.
But anyway, it's 11:45. It's almost midnight. We said goodbye 3 times already.
Yeah, I know, right?
It's like a typical holiday party.
Guys, I'm finished with you guys. I'm done with you guys. Time to go to bed.
All right, cutting to black.
No. Anyway, guys, have a good night. Stay safe. Hopefully, by the next time we get together, we'll have a new Jane's in the house. Hopefully.
So more than likely, if things go as planned, I won't be here next week. So it'll probably just be you guys, depending on how things progress with Leah. So we'll see what happens. But if she's not in labor, I'll be on. If she's in labor, you guys are on your own.
If she's in labor, we'll be on Zoom, Eric. So, but because I'm not doing the Wirecast thing. That's too many things will happen.
Right. So, but you know what? It may not be a bad thing. Just keep us, you keep us posted. Maybe we'll post something on Facebook. Yep. You know, so if things change, you know, and hey, we may not have a show next week, pending, or we might. We may.
Hey, you know what? Maybe it'll be 2 birthdays next week.
Yeah, there you go.
There you go.
So we'll see what happens.
We may have to take a week off. All right, guys.
All right, guys. Thank you, everybody.
Have a good night, guys. Take care. And remember to keep imaging, keep educating, and keep having fun. We'll see you next week, maybe.